Let me just say that you are always going to be looking for contractors no matter what level you're at. I don't care if you're brand new, just getting started, and you've never done a flip. You're obviously going to be looking for contractors. There's many successful people I know that flip in the high luxury market and they do really well. Do I advise beginners to do that? No. What I teach is entry-level flipping. You know, I've built my system to flip, over 100 plus homes a year with entry-level housing because it's much easier in my opinion. It requires less customization, less headache. I prefer it. The homes sell quicker, requires less money. I prefer entry-level, and I would choose a market that has more of a lower price point. What you need to do is look at price point and choose which market you want to be in based on that as well. In my career, I've flipped hundreds of homes, and I've trained students all across the country who have combined to flip thousands of them. And what's interesting is I've seen the same mistakes made over and over again, regardless of market, regardless of price point. And these are just mistakes that people make as they reach certain levels in their real estate investing career. So in this video, I'm gonna reveal those top mistakes. And it's not just from rookie investors. These are seasoned people who make big mistakes. And some of these mistakes can bankrupt even successful flippers. If you're new to my channel, my name's Ryan Pineda. I'm a real estate investor and entrepreneur. And the goal of my channel is to help people live the wealthy way. If you wanna learn more about that, go to wealthyway.com and you can download our free course, our free planner app, and join our free Discord community. So let's start off with a few of the mistakes I see rookies make and then jump into the experienced investor mistakes. So the first reason that most flippers fail is because they don't know how to run their comps or renovation costs correctly. In most cases, people are far too optimistic about either view. Maybe they see a house that's sold for $500,000 and they think that's their comp, but the reality is their comp might only be $470,000 because it lacks certain features this other one has. And the thing with comping is that it takes time to learn all of these little nuances that determine its value. In the most basic form of comping, you look at the neighborhoods, you look at the year built, you look at the square footage, the bedrooms, the bathrooms. All of those things play a role in its value, and they probably play the majority of the role. But then there are so many other things that can dictate whether or not it has the value you think it has on paper. Is it on a main street, or is a main street even behind the house? What do the neighbors' houses look like? What's the curb appeal of that neighborhood? How big is the lot? Does it have a pool? Does it have any other features that add value that the other houses don't have? In some places, just being a block over has a significant value difference because it changes the school zone, it changes the neighborhood, the crime rate all of a sudden falls off. There are a lot of things that go into comping just beyond looking at the bedrooms, bathrooms, and square footage. It's funny because I was talking to some of my students in Atlanta and they said that many wholesalers who try to go there virtually get burned because they don't understand how the blocks work. On one block, there's $3 million homes, and on another block, they're $300,000. So just learning how to comp properly is one of those things that can only happen with repetition. The repetitions are gonna take you through all the various neighborhoods of your market. You're gonna see why certain neighborhoods sell for more and why a certain house might sell for way more than someone that looks very similar. Now, when it comes to calculating renovation costs, that's another one where people just don't really know until they get more repetitions. You can use the price per square foot method, which is great when you're just trying to make an offer or all you have are pictures, but in order for you to get really good at figuring out your renovation costs, you need to actually go walk properties with a contractor and have them tell you what these things cost item by item. When I first started flipping houses, I had no idea what a renovation should have cost. And it wasn't until I started seeing them line item by line item that I realized, oh, this is pretty standard for what a light fixture should cost. This is what a sink should cost. This is what cabinets should cost. This is what flooring should cost. And with all of those things added together, you can start coming up with a price per square foot of the entire house. But in the end, that's still just always gonna be a guess. You've gotta start walking properties and getting those repetitions so that you can get a final price on what your renovation will be. The last thing I'll say about this problem is, even if you know those costs, a lot of people still get too optimistic just to make a deal work. They might see their after repair value at $480,000, but they need it at $500,000 to make the deal make sense. And so they start pushing the numbers and try to justify that the $500,000 is gonna be their ARV. And in the end, that ends up burning them a lot because they're trying to manipulate the numbers to make the deal work. Same thing that happens with renovations. Maybe it's a $50,000 budget, but they need it to be $40,000 to make the deal make sense. And so they start saying, well, if we sub this out and we do this a little cheaper, we can get the budget down to $40,000. You might be able to do that for one deal, but I can promise you if you can consistently do that on every deal, you're gonna get burned. The second mistake that I see both new and experienced people do is that they don't make enough offers. Look, when it comes to real estate investing and getting great deals, it is simply just a volume game. You know that 99% of the offers you make are gonna get rejected. 99% of the people you talk to aren't gonna be interested in what you have to offer. And so when people aren't getting the amount of deals they wanna get, whether it's just getting 1 a month or 10 a month, the answer is usually you're not making enough offers. That's all it comes down to. I see people say, well, I need to go do more marketing because I'm not getting enough leads, or I need to go do some other new thing that no one's ever thought of. When the truth is just make more offers. If you're just getting started, you can go on the MLS right now and make an offer on every single property on there. Most agents are gonna tell you you're crazy, but there is gonna be one, if you make enough offers, that will tell you, yeah, my seller actually would entertain that. But are you willing to make the volume of offers that's required for you to get the deals you want? Same thing applies to experienced investors. Maybe they've already spent a lot of money on marketing, they've built up their pipeline, they have leads, and instead of hitting those leads with offers, they say, well, I gotta go just spend more money on more leads because these leads, they're not good. I've paid millions of dollars to get these leads in my system. Do you think that I need to all of a sudden go keep spending more and more to add to these leads? Or do you think that maybe these 14,000 people might take an offer as long as I could just get a hold of them? The truth is, if we didn't get any new leads coming in as of today, we could still get deals by just hitting all of the leads that we currently have. So whether you're new or experienced, you're not making enough offers if you're not getting the amount of deals you want, and it's that simple. By the way, before I get into mistake number 3, I wanna let you know that we just launched a brand new YouTube channel called Future Flipper. This channel is solely devoted to real estate investing tactics. It could be house flipping, wholesaling, rentals, you name it. We are doing content on all things real estate, and we're getting in depth on how to do these different things. I know that my channel has grown far beyond just real estate investing, and we talk about a number of topics, but if you're interested in going deep with real estate investing, make sure you subscribe to that channel because the content on there is strictly for that. Now, the third mistake I see people make is from experienced investors, and it's because they're not managing their cash flow properly. Most investors, as they scale, don't realize it, but they're commingling their funds and they don't have as much money as they think. Case in point, when I first did over 100 flips in a year, I had no idea what I was doing as far as managing cash. It was the most money I'd ever seen in my life, and I got into a big pickle because I didn't realize I was using renovation money to go buy more properties. You see, I kept buying all of these properties and I would raise all this money for my renovation expenses, but I didn't have them separated the right way. And so in my account, it looked like I had all of this money, but when it came time to go pay these renovation costs, I started to realize I didn't have as much money as I thought. And after 1 week of paying $200,000 towards renovation and the next week of paying $200,000 towards renovation, I knew I was in big trouble and I was gonna have to figure out how to go get some money. And thankfully, we got out of the issue. I ended up getting different credit lines. I ended up wholesaling some properties. And then I started figuring out how to manage my bank accounts properly. And I was able to start accounting for how much money I needed for renovations, how much money I needed to go run my business, and how much money I actually had to go buy more properties. And look, I know when you're scaling, it is so hard not to use the money in your bank account, because you look at it and you say, well, if I used it on this deal, I could go make this amount of money. Trust me, I've been there. I know what you're feeling. But here's the truth. You can go broke buying too many deals. If you do what I did and you don't have a backup plan to go get cash, your business is gonna die. If you can't make your mortgage payments and you can't make your payroll, your business is dead, even though you've bought a bunch of great deals. So you have to learn to protect your cash flow, and you have to learn to set aside a reserve account that you will not touch regardless of how many good deals come across your way. You must keep that account very sacred and away from anything else. And if you do get a good deal, go figure out how to raise the money to buy it without tapping into your reserves. And I should also add, when your business starts growing, that reserve amount needs to grow as well. You can't have the same reserves you did when you were doing half the volume. Your reserves should be at least doubling to match your new output. The fourth mistake I see a lot of experienced investors making is that they try to go wide instead of going deep. What I mean by this is once investors start having a little bit of success, they say, all right, I want to go to different markets, or I want to start doing a different niche of real estate. And the reality is they have not gone deep enough in their current investing strategy, whatever that may be. Maybe they flipped a couple of houses and now they're saying, I want to go buy rental properties. Or maybe they've made good money wholesaling and now they say, I want to wholesale nationwide. My market is too small. I can tell you from experience, it is far easier to go deep within what you're currently doing than it is to go wide and say, I'm going to a new market, or I'm gonna get into a different type of real estate like multifamily or commercial. The learning curve on going wide is really big. To go deep with what you're currently doing is much easier, and it just requires you to think about what areas you're missing in your current market, in your current strategy. Even at my current level, people ask me all the time, are you willing to go flip in other states? Have you thought about opening up a new market? And I say, no. I think that we could do far more than we do in Vegas currently. And this is coming from somebody who's been one of the biggest flippers in Vegas the past bunch of years. So if I think that I can go deeper even at a high level, that should tell you guys how deep you can go with wherever you're at. Now, the fifth mistake that I see experienced investors make is that they don't get into coaching or masterminds. I made this mistake early on. I was having a lot of success on my own without ever having to pay anybody to do it. And I said, you know what? I'm already having success. I can keep on figuring it out on my own and I'm gonna be good. And this was just really prideful and stupid. I eventually got stuck because I personally only know so much, and once I finally humbled myself and got coaching and mentorship, my businesses started to exponentially grow. By being able to learn directly from people who had already accomplished the things I'm trying to accomplish, it fast-tracked me so much, like years. And being able to talk to these people and ask them questions as I was going through them changed things significantly. I had heard things I'd never contemplated, they had predicted things I was gonna go through that I hadn't yet done, and it just made everything so much easier by having these mentors and by being in these masterminds. And along with that, being around all these successful people made me level up my game. You see what's possible when you're talking to them, you get inspired, and you realized if they can do it, I can do it. So having this kind of network is so important. And I say this as advice to experienced people because they're the ones that are the hardest to change their mind. By definition, they've already had success, and so it's easy to think that they already know more than enough. I know because I used to think this way. But if you can humble yourself and realize there's so much that you don't know, your business is going to go to a new level you didn't even know was possible. And this advice becomes even more crucial if you're new and starting out. Being able to fast track and get around people who are making things happen is the #1 thing that is going to push you forward to success, especially when you're starting out and you feel alone. And I'm a bit biased, but if you are looking for coaching and mentorship on real estate investing, definitely check out futureflipper.com and you can book a free call with my team to find out what program is best for you. We're here at my favorite luxury flip that I've ever done. This house that you see right behind me took almost a year to renovate, but I'll show you why here in a sec. Let's go check it out. So back in 2021, we made the decision that we wanted to start buying luxury flips because the luxury market was going absolutely insane here in Las Vegas. So this house was one of the very first ones we bought. The only problem was we also bought about 9 other ones at the exact same time, so the renovations took a lot longer than we expected. But the good thing was, because the market's been appreciating so much, the house has actually gone up way more than we expected, so kind of holding on to it has been a good thing for us. All right, this door is one of many reasons why I love this home so much. I just love these huge pivot doors. They just give it that grand feel. I mean, one of these by itself cost over $10,000, so if you're gonna put one of these in your home, you better make sure that it's worth the price tag. Now, this home has more renovation done than almost any home we've done to this point because of a few different things. For one, when we first bought it, there used to be a big giant wall right here that kind of separated what is now this dining room, and it was more like a sun patio room. The original owner built it as like an extension on the house. So one of our first things was getting rid of that because it was taking up so much valuable space, which, as you can see now, is really great. Having the dining room right here, having this little bar area, it all just looks super clean. And along with that, it opens up all of this natural light to the backyard, which is really cool, and I'll show you that here in a second. But now we have all of this natural light right when you walk in. You've got this beautiful dining area that seats 8 people. And I love what the design team did with the separation. You know, when you got a big open space like this, it is better to kind of separate the spaces with design. And so by adding this big, you know, wood wall with the slats, it kind of shows that, hey, this is separated from over here, which is also really cool in itself for the living room. So we had to recreate a whole new living room, since it used to be where that middle wall was. You know, the fireplace was on that wall, and now we just moved everything to right here. So we've custom built this long fireplace, probably the longest fireplace that I've ever seen in a home, mainly because we had so much space to fill. It would have looked pretty weird if, you know, the fireplace was a normal standard size. But along with that, I also have never seen this in one of our homes, where we've built this big box kind of just for a huge TV. You know, typically, if we build a fireplace like this, we'll just take it up all the way to the ceiling, right? And then we would just niche out a TV, and it would look really cool. That's actually what I have in my own personal home. So to see them kind of separate them as 2 different things is a new thing that we haven't done. But that's not the only new thing in this house. I actually wasn't even aware of this until I started messing around with the home, but there's a ton of secret compartments right here. So as you can see, you've got this beautiful kitchen. It is enormous. Also a first for us, we built an entire double island, which I think is super cool, especially for those of you who like to entertain. You know, having one island that can serve people and you can put the food on, while the other is more for your cooking and all that stuff. It's really cool. And this house wasn't really able to do this initially. When we bought it, it was really closed off. There was this big giant wall here. The kitchen was super awkward, and we got rid of all of that and made it look so good and so open. But now, I just love how this is. I'll tell you, this is one of the only houses that I've ever flipped where I'm like, I would live here, for real. Like, I love the area. It's actually close to my high school that I grew up going to. Like the spaciousness, the size, I mean, it's over 4,200 square feet, the kitchen, and all of the cool secret stuff like this. So, right in here, automatic light, we've got this secret pantry. And this was one of the things that I wanted to change. What this used to be was the original kitchen. So the kitchen was on this wall and it curved all weird like this. And I said, you know what? Let's cut out some of the kitchen. Let's make it pushed out so it's all straight like what you guys see. And then we're gonna build this pantry. Before I even knew secret pantries were a thing, I wasn't really thinking like that. I said, you know what? We will build the kitchen straight, which is what exactly we did. And we'll put a door right here. Like, we'll have the pantry door here and it'll look really cool. That was my original plan. But one of my now business partners, Amr Samaha, was with me here at one of my Future Flipper Masterminds. I actually took all of our students to this house when we had just demoed everything. And I said, guys, here's what we're gonna do. You know, we're gonna take down this wall. We're gonna make this kitchen like this. And he goes, hey dude, why don't you do a secret pantry right there? Like, that's becoming a really cool thing. I said, what do you mean? He's like, instead of putting your door over there, you can just have a pantry door. It looks just like one. They would never know. And you could walk into the pantry. And sure enough, that's exactly what we did. And in fact, him and I were not even partners at the time. He was just a student giving me a really good idea. And then later on, we've become partners in development in the metaverse with Tykes. And he's building my dream home right now. Like, it's crazy to think that was my first impression of meeting him, was him telling me about this. So pretty cool backstory for you guys. But another cool thing was in here. So this house came with a sauna. And we were trying to figure out what to do with the sauna. Like, do we get rid of it? Do we keep it? I mean, it kind of doesn't match modern. But we said, you know what? I think if we just build a wall and close it off, it will be pretty cool inside of a bathroom. And so that's what we did. And I think it's a great feature. I mean, it's pretty brand new. And it's just connected to this other bathroom, which also turned out great. I love the design that we did here, to this back bedroom, which is a really good size. So this is just one bedroom in the house. We've got 2 other ones on this side for guest bedrooms. I really like that this one's kind of tucked away by itself, and it's got its own access to its own bathroom, the sauna, and all that. Now, I didn't touch on this, and I actually didn't even expect them to do this. When I initially did this house, I was thinking that here would be the formal dining area. But they pretty much just said, we don't really care what you think, Ryan. We're gonna make it a sick office. So it's really cool what they did. You know, the glass doors really make this super cool, because if I was here at my office and, you know, I had just a closed wall and stuff, it would kind of look weird. And, you know, yeah, I've got this, which is like whatever, looking at the garage. But now with this setup, having the natural light in here, and then being able to just get all the natural light from the backyard and the glass, it's really cool. So shout out to my project manager, Daniel, all of the design team, the contractors, and everybody for thinking of this ideas and, you know, the design, because this is literally like well, I already said, it's my favorite luxury flip ever. My favorite flip ever, period. Also profit-wise too. But just thinking design, I love it. Now, over here, I'll show you guys the laundry room real quick. It's pretty cool, you know. They've got the pattern tile. They built this cool little coat rack with the shiplap. It gives it like this really nice design. Everything in here is like ultra white. And then even though there was the secret pantry, you still have more storage if you wanted pantry or cleaning supplies or whatever it is. And then back here, you've got our 2 bedrooms, Jack and Jill this time. They have this connecting bathroom. The shower looks really good. And just overall, it's a really well set up house with having the bedrooms over there, having that extra bedroom, and then this entire living room just being out in the open. Now, before we get to the master bedroom, I just want to say, I took all my students to this house while it was being renovated, and that experience was super cool for them. And there's nothing like being taught firsthand in person, you know, at an event or in one of my coaching programs. And that is really the best way to learn, from being taught firsthand from somebody who's actually doing it. So if you're thinking about getting into real estate investing and you want to flip luxury houses, or you want to wholesale or flip normal homes, even if you want to do Airbnbs and rentals, we can help you out at Future Flipper. I would love for you to book a call with our team. You can get a free consultation. All you have to do is go to futureflipper.com. So make sure you go do that. Don't just be entertained by all this cool stuff. Actually take action, because you can do it yourself. It's not as hard as it seems, and you don't really have to have a lot of money. In fact, with this house, I did not use any of my own money to buy it. And I always forget to mention that, because it comes like second nature to me at this point. But we pretty much don't use any of our own money on any of these flips we've got going on. We've got 50 all across Las Vegas. A bunch are just like this in luxury, a bunch are normal entry-level homes. But what we do is what we teach. So go to futureflipper.com and book a call with my team. So now let's talk about the master, because this is one of my favorite rooms in the house. I like what they did. It was kind of different than what I was expecting. So as you can see, you have got the bed right here. Initially, when I bought this house, I thought we were gonna put the bed over here, and then we were gonna create another window over here to kind of give it that symmetry. And that would have made sense, because I think the fireplace was over here initially when we bought it. Yeah, it was actually right here. My camera guy's telling me, he remembers. There was a fireplace over here. And I was like, well, that's a pretty good setup. Well, obviously they just made it totally different from what I just said. And the reason is because there used to be a door right here to a closet. And I didn't really know what I was gonna do, because there's other closets over there, which I'll show you here in a sec. But I love what they decided to do. They made this a secret door. All right, so check this out. How cool is this? There used to be shelves and everything in here for a big, enormous closet. And I was thinking, well, that would be cool, especially for someone like my wife who loves an enormous closet. And this would be plenty for any person. But we just decided, you know what? We'll leave it empty. Whatever someone wants to do, they can do. If they want this to be, you know, a man cave or a safe room, they can do that. Or if they want to make it a closet, they can, you know, go pay and get a full custom closet in here. But either way, I've never seen a master bedroom with a secret room like this right by the bed. So I'm really impressed, and I just think it's so cool. All right, now before I show you the bathroom, I want to hear in the comments, okay, I'm gonna go by the honor system. What do you think we are listing this house for? I want to hear it. I haven't talked about price or what we've bought it for yet. We're going to talk about that at the end. But, you know, I want to just hear your perspective, not knowing the area other than we're in Las Vegas and you've seen the house. It's 4,200 square feet, half acre. You know, I'm going to show you the pool and all that stuff. But let me know in the comments, what do you think I'm listing this house for? Let's see who's the closest to it. Along with having that secret area, you've got one closet over here. There's another closet next to it. Obviously, it's not as big, but if somebody wants to use that other space as a closet, they've got it. This was the original shelving. It was good enough. We decided it's not really worth changing. This bathroom though, really cool. I love it. I love the freestanding tub. I think the shower is huge. The design with it is great. I love when we do these showers and they extend the whole wall. So this is the same tile that's on the inside. So it just kind of gives it like that really clean look. And you've got a really big counter here, a nice makeup vanity. I mean, the master's great. The room is huge. There's multiple closets. The bathroom's great. I mean, there's nothing really missing in this house. Now, one of the big selling points of this home is the half-acre backyard, which if you're from Vegas, then you know it's pretty rare, right? It's not like down south where you can get land super easy. Vegas, it's pretty scarce. So this already had the pool. We didn't really touch it. You know, we painted the deck, but other than that, I mean, the pool is in great shape. It's a little dirty right now, but I like it. You also have a ton of grass and nature. Like, I don't think you guys understand, having trees like this in Vegas is not normal. In fact, I don't even know what kind of tree this is. Like, I just grew up with no trees, you know? I don't know if this is a pine tree or what. Don't judge me if you know in the comments. Tell me what kind of trees these are. You know, I know this is a completely different tree. This stuff is just super rare here in Vegas, and it just makes me feel different, you know, because it's very difficult to just go put up giant trees like this out of nowhere. So somebody is going to love this house for the yard, for the nature, for obviously the full renovation. It really has everything you could ever need in a home. I could count on one hand how many homes I would live in that I've actually flipped, and this is definitely at the top. All right, so let's talk about the numbers of this home, because that's probably the most exciting part, even though this home is so beautiful. We bought this for $875,000. It was a deal right there off of the MLS. My MLS acquisitions person found it, and you know, they made a great commission on it, but we ended up getting a really good deal. Now, when we bought it, we initially thought that it would probably sell for 1.3, 1.4. You know, we weren't planning to do everything we did in this house. We thought the rehab might be like 120,000. It turned out to be 170,000, which after looking through it, I thought was still super cheap compared to what it should have been for a house of this caliber. So project management did a really good job, you know, getting these trades in here and getting this thing done, even though it wasn't really on budget initially. I'm glad we spent way more than we thought, because obviously it's gonna pay off. You know, even though we spent $170,000 on this house, the market has appreciated considerably. You know, we bought it almost a year ago, which isn't good for most flips. You don't wanna hold a property for a year because you're having to pay your hard money expenses and your holding costs and all that stuff while you hold it. But appreciation has gone up more than those costs. So this house that we thought we were gonna sell for 1.3, 1.4, we are now listing it for $1.8 million. And you know, I don't know if we're gonna get that price, but if we get anything close to it, it's gonna be a killer deal. So for those of you who guessed close to 1.8 million, congrats. I don't really have a prize for you, but you guys get a pat on the back for being close. Now, as far as what the profit is going to be, as I said, we bought it for $875,000. We put $170,000 into it. We've held it for almost a year, which is costing us about $12,000 a month. So our holding cost and hard money loans have been about $144,000. Along with that, we're gonna pay around $50,000 in realtor expenses, and we're gonna have another $25,000 in closing costs. It puts us all in around $1,264,000. And if we're able to sell this for the $1.8 million that we're asking, we would make $536,000 in net profit. And that would be our biggest luxury flip ever. Up to this point, our max has been $400,000 on a luxury flip. I actually did a YouTube video on that one, and we finally sold the house shortly there after that video. So that was a huge win. And I think this one can be an even bigger win. For me, if I'm just starting out in real estate investing, I think you're gonna have a lot more success in your local market. This is simply because you know it better than anywhere else. The only way I would say that having a virtual market could be better is if you're going to a market that you used to live in, that you have a lot of familiarity in, that you have boots on the ground in. But if there isn't anything that fits that box, you're probably gonna have more success locally, even if it's an expensive market like California. But beyond having familiarity with the market, you also wanna look at the population size. Ideally, you're in a market with over 100,000 people, and even more so, it'd be great if you were in a market with 1 million or more. If your market's too small, there's just not a lot of opportunity for you to flip in it because there's not gonna be that many homes there. By being in a bigger market, you know that there's a lot more volume and transactions happening, and there's gonna be a lot more houses that you could potentially go get as deals. And I'm not saying you can't invest in small markets. I own Airbnbs in Big Bear, California, where there's only 5,000 people in the population. And I have successfully flipped houses out there and made a lot of money as well. But if I was going to build a house flipping business from scratch, I'd want to pick a market that's going to be a lot more scalable. On top of that, getting labor and contractors and building out your team is going to be easier in a bigger market. One of the reasons I never scaled Big Bear is because it's super hard to find contractors and reliable people out there. Now, the other thing to look at when picking a market is the supply. The way that we calculate supply is by taking the total active homes and dividing it by the last 30 days sold. So for instance, if there are 3,000 homes on the market and 1,000 of them sold in the last 30 days, that means that there are 3 months of supply in that market. Now, 3 months is a normal market. It's not a buyer or a seller's market. Anything under 3 months is considered a seller's market. In fact, after the pandemic, we went into the fastest seller's market ever. In places like Las Vegas, where I'm at, we had half a month of inventory. So properties were getting multiple offers the second they hit the market just because there was literally nothing for sale. Las Vegas now has around 5 months of inventory, which makes it a buyer's market. And in a buyer's market, properties are usually gonna decline or stay stagnant. So if you're flipping houses, ideally, you're in a market that has 3 months of inventory or less. Now, obviously, you can't control it in times like this. For the 8 years I've been flipping in Vegas, we've always been in a neutral market or a seller's market. We've now transitioned into a buyer's market. It doesn't mean that I'm not gonna flip here in Vegas. It just means that I have to be a lot more conservative with the houses I buy. Things are still going to sell. I just need to get better deals since I don't have to compete as much. There's not as many offers on these properties. And the last thing to consider with the market is the price point. Now, a lot of people think that having a cheaper price means that it's an easier market and it's more profitable. It's not necessarily true. Some of the best house flippers that I know are in big markets like Southern California. They're able to make much bigger profits because the homes are more expensive. And I know a lot of people in the Midwest that are wholesaling and flipping, and they might only make $5,000 to $10,000 on a deal versus the California people making $100,000. So even though the person in California might do a lot less deals, they might still be making way more money. So price does play a role, but in the grand scheme of things, if you get good at raising money, it's gonna be irrelevant. Now, once you've chosen your market, that leads to step 2, which is to build out your team. In order to build out a house flipping business, you're gonna have a team of 4 core members. The first is going to be your contractor. Now, obviously, a contractor plays a really big role in flipping houses because we gotta get this thing fixed. And having a reliable one is key. I can't tell you how many contractors I've had where they've just left jobs and took my money. I've also had a ton where they didn't do very good work and I had to go have somebody else come in and fix their mess. And I've also had ones where it was supposed to take a month to finish the job, and it takes them 4 months because they're just really slow, or they're busy with all their other jobs and they have too much going on. Like I said, I've made a lot of mistakes that have cost me a lot of money. I mean, literally millions of dollars throughout the years. But nonetheless, finding a good group of contractors is gonna be key. And my biggest piece of advice is not relying on just one. If you rely on just one contractor, that is where you're gonna get burned. You're gonna have multiple options for contractors. And I've done other YouTube videos on how you can go about finding contractors, which I'll link to below. The second member of your team is going to be a realtor. Now, your realtor is going to provide a lot of assistance for you when it comes to listing the property, figuring out what it's going to be worth, and help you figuring out whether or not it's a good deal in the first place. You don't make money when you sell the home. That's the biggest misconception. You make money when you buy the home. If you don't buy it right, you will lose money, especially when the market is not appreciating and you can't rely on that to bail you out. So having a good realtor on your team helps you double check the deals and make sure that you're buying ones that are going to be profitable when you sell. They're going to have expertise and insight on the area that you may not understand. The third member of your team is going to be your escrow officer. This is the company that makes sure the transaction goes smoothly and that the money is safe and that all of the titles and paperwork are transferred properly. You're going to need them for when you buy the property and for when you sell the property. Now, a lot of realtors have preferred title companies that they work with, so the odds are they're going to refer you to a good title company as well. The one thing I would say when you're interviewing title companies is ask them, do you guys work with wholesalers? Have you ever done assignment contracts? If they have, then they're going to be perfect for your business. If they have no idea what that is, you're going to want to have to get a different title company. The last member on your team is going to be your lender. Now, I use a combination of both private lenders and hard money lenders. A private lender is somebody who is your friend or family member. It's just somebody that you know. They're not professional lenders. A hard money lender is a company that lends specifically on investment properties at higher interest rates. And usually these higher interest rates are accompanied by shorter loan terms, typically a year, as well as higher fees. And you might be asking, why would I use these guys? Why not go get a 30-year normal loan? Well, the reality is most of those normal loans are going to take too long to close, and they may not even qualify on this property because it might not be in good enough condition. A hard money lender will be able to close really quick in less than 2 weeks, very similar to cash, and they're okay lending on properties that are beat up because that's their business. They understand you've got to fix it up and flip it to make a profit. Ideally with your team, you want to have multiple of each so that you have options, especially your contractors and lenders. You can get by with having one really good realtor and one really good title company. Now, once your team is built out, the third thing you got to learn is how to evaluate deals and whether it's a good deal or not. You'll need to learn to calculate ARV, which stands for after repair value. This is the price that you think the home is going to sell for once it's fixed up and ready. I might be able to get a home for $400,000, but I know the ARV is $550,000 once I get it fixed up. Now, a lot of people might look at that and say, oh, if you're getting it for $400,000, you're gonna sell for $550,000, you're gonna make a lot of money. Wrong. You need to figure out all the other costs in between to determine whether or not it's profitable. This includes things like your repair cost, the lender fees, your holding costs, the realtor fees, title fees. And then you've got to have enough in there for the profit that you want to make on the deal. And we actually built out calculators for our students at Future Flipper that you can use to find out whether or not it's a good deal. So if you want to learn more about that, you can go to futureflipper.com to get a free call with my team. Now, once you get good at evaluating deals, you then need to figure out how to go find those deals. There are three main ways that we find deals in house flipping. Number one is through the MLS. The MLS is the multiple listing service. This is just simply all the properties that are currently on the market. For years, people thought there were no deals on the MLS, but I have bought hundreds of homes off of the MLS, and I know that there's definitely deals today with the market slower. Now, when it comes to the MLS, a quick tip is that you've got to offer in volume, meaning you've got to make a lot of offers every single day in order to get one of them accepted. If you only offer on one property a week, you will not get deals. But if you offer on 20 properties a day, I can almost guarantee you're gonna get a deal this month. And there are lots of ways to analyze deals on the MLS. One of my favorite ways is through auto searches. Basically, you set up these different searches to notify you when a good deal hits the market. The second way to find deals is through wholesalers. Now, wholesalers are people who are professionals at finding deals, and instead of buying them themselves like house flippers do, they just simply sell the deal to house flippers. They make their spread right away, and the house flipper is able to get the deal and go fix it up and sell it and make their profit. So in a theoretical example, let's say a wholesaler locks up a property for $300,000, and they know that the flipper is willing to pay $320,000 for it. Well, instead of having to go get money and all that, they just go and assign the contract to the flipper for the difference between what the flipper is willing to pay and what they have it under contract for. So in this case, they would make $20,000 as what's called an assignment fee or a wholesale fee. Now, the flipper is able to buy this property for $320,000. They're gonna pay the wholesaler, they're gonna pay the seller. They're gonna now go take it, fix it up, and sell it for a profit. Because they know even at $320,000, the deal still makes sense and they're gonna make a lot of money. I've bought many deals from wholesalers, and my biggest tip is that don't ever worry about what the wholesaler's making. Just worry about your numbers. If $320,000 works for you, be cool with it. I see so many flippers counting wholesalers' pockets, and it's probably the dumbest thing you can do and the easiest way to never get a deal sent to you again. My company wholesales deals all the time, and if we ever catch a buyer who's trying to renegotiate with us after seeing our fee, we immediately get rid of them because we don't want anyone counting our pockets. It should not matter if the deal works for you, so don't be that guy. Now, the last way to go find deals is through direct-to-seller marketing. This is what we have transitioned to for the last few years with a lot of success. The beauty with direct-to-seller marketing is you have no middleman. You don't have a realtor, you don't have a wholesaler, it's just you and the seller directly. Now, to get in front of the seller, it's gonna require you to spend money on marketing. You could do direct mail, you could do cold calling, texting, PPC. In our case, we focus on TV commercials. Now, even though these can get you the biggest deals, it is the hardest to set up because you gotta have a really good sales team, you gotta have a good CRM, you gotta have good KPIs. It is building a marketing and sales company. Whereas with house flipping, you've got to deal a lot more with operations. I advise beginners to start with the MLS and wholesalers because it doesn't cost you any money and there are definitely deals out there. Now, once you find a deal, the fifth step is that you need to go and buy the home. This is where your lender and escrow officer start coming into play. You need to go out and raise money from your private lenders, from your hard money lenders, and figure out how to buy this deal. One of my favorite ways to find deals is through gap funding. Essentially what I'll do is I'll get a hard money loan for the majority of the purchase. A lot of my lenders will lend me 90% of the deal. So if I'm buying this $300,000 house, they're gonna give me $270,000. And when I say 90%, they'll also fund 100% of the rehab on top of that. So if I know my renovations are $50,000, I know they'll give me $50,000 to go renovate this home. So that means for me, I need to go raise what's called the gap from a private lender. So in this case, the gap for the down payment is $30,000. But I wouldn't raise just $30,000. I would get enough for all my closing costs, enough for my interest payments to the hard money lender, and maybe even a little more since I'm gonna have to take rehab draws. Essentially, I can't tap into the rehab budget first. I have to do work first, and once I do the work, I then can draw from that rehab fund once I've showed them I've done work. So maybe instead of thinking I need 30 grand to do this deal, I might say, hey, I need $60,000 to do this deal to cover all of those fees I just talked about. Regardless of how you fund it, you are gonna buy the deal through a title company. Never ever buy a deal without getting title insurance because that's how you can get burned. And literally every hard money lender will make you get title insurance regardless, so you're gonna have to get this good escrow officer that we talked about earlier. Once the deal is funded and escrow does all their stuff, you've now bought the home and you're moving on to step 6, which is to renovate it. This is where you're gonna need your contractor from the team. As I mentioned, you're gonna wanna have multiple contractors because you're gonna wanna get multiple bids. Now, you need to make sure you get those bids way before you ever get to this step. You don't wanna just go buy a house, then all of a sudden you get it bid and you're like, wow, this costs way more than I thought. No, the moment you get this property under contract, you have what's called due diligence. And during this due diligence, you're able to go get bids and make sure the rehab lines up with what you thought it was gonna cost you. If it doesn't, you're either gonna back out during that phase or renegotiate. But assuming you did all that in the previous steps, you're now in step 6 where you have this property, you've already picked out the contractor to do it, and you are now renovating it. And I recently did a video on how to estimate your repair cost, which I'll link to at the end of this video. But nonetheless, you then need to manage your contractor, get things done on time and on budget. Once the property is done, you then move into step 7, which is to list the home. This is where the realtor on your team finally jumps into play. They've been working with you throughout the process, making sure that you are buying a good deal. And now they're gonna look at the property once you fix it up and say, hey, I think we should list it for this price. Now, when it comes to listing price, lots of people have different opinions on how to list. In a hot market, sometimes people will list it for a really cheap price to just drive a bidding war. In my case, during the hot markets, we like to list it at a super high price and just see if somebody was willing to pay it. In today's market where things are slower, you definitely don't wanna list it in either of those scenarios, I think. The high price is not gonna get any action, and the low price might get the one offer that you probably have to honor. So I would just list at market value in today's climate. Wherever you think it's worth, try to sell it at that. Or if you think that things are dropping, try to even sell it a little bit below just to move the house. But during this list period, you are then going to get offers that you're gonna negotiate, you're gonna accept one, and then they're going into their due diligence period. They're gonna go check the house, get their inspections, make sure nothing crazy is going on. They're then gonna send their repair request, which is basically everything they want you to fix in the house. I know it's crazy to think that there's things to fix after you just fixed it, but it happens on everything. These inspectors will tear your house apart no matter how good it looks. Don't be offended by it, just know it's just another thing to negotiate. You don't have to change everything they request, but when you're in a buyer's market, you are going to have to appeal to the buyer and keep them in it. If you're in a seller's market, you don't have to really fix anything because they don't have a choice. There's lots of other people who want that property. So it just depends on what market you're in for how much negotiation you have with those repair requests. Once the repair requests are done, the buyer's then gonna get their loan most likely and close the deal, which leads to step 8. Once the house is closed, it's time to get paid. After all that hard work, you get your payday and you're rewarded. Construction is the biggest thing I hate about real estate investing. I just don't like any part of it. I personally don't like fixing things myself. I don't like dealing with contractors. I don't like designing. I don't like almost any aspect of it. But it is necessary to be a successful investor. And I know this topic is very controversial because every time I talk about repair cost, you always get a GC who says, that's way too cheap, the quality must suck, you're doing it the wrong way. And this topic just brings out a bunch of naysayers, so I fully expect that in the comments. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about repair costs and how to estimate them properly. Let me start off by saying we make all of our offers based on looking at pictures. We don't have enough time to go walk every single property we want to offer on, so we have to make estimates based on pictures. And the way that we do that is through the price per square foot method. So essentially we can estimate based on price per square foot depending on how much work needs to be done. And I'm gonna get into that later in the video. But before I go over all the different levels, I wanna make a few things clear. Number one, what we do this for is strictly for estimating. If you get a property in contract or you're close on a deal, you should absolutely go walk it with a GC. In fact, I recommend walking it with 3 GCs. That way you have a for sure number on what it's going to cost you, and they're gonna be able to see things that you might miss. So like I said, this is only for estimates. There are a lot of factors that are going to affect how much you budget per square foot. The market that you're in. Obviously, California and New York are much more expensive than other markets. The age of the home. If you get a home built in 1900 versus a home built in 2000, it's gonna be drastically different. In the 1900 home, you're gonna basically have to replace everything. This includes all the plumbing, the electrical, everything in between. In the 2000 built home, you're not touching any of that stuff. That stuff is usually in really good shape and all you're doing is cosmetic things. So age of the home is gonna play a big role. Who you choose to do the work is gonna play a huge role. Are you using a licensed general contractor? Are you using someone unlicensed? Are you doing the work yourself? Are you subbing out everything on your own? There's a lot of things to ask yourself. I'm not gonna get into the legality of using a GC or subbing things out or doing work yourself. That's for you to decide. But just know that is going to affect your price tremendously. So with all that being said, the numbers that I give you are for what I see in my market in Las Vegas. In Vegas, we have newer homes and our weather's pretty good. The homes just don't need as much work as, say, a property in the Midwest where everything is corroded and really old. So we are very rarely ever taking anything to the studs and replacing all the underlying things like electrical and plumbing. We replace them when it's needed, but it's most definitely not every home. In certain areas, like I described in Buffalo, you need to replace it every time because it is so old. Also keep in mind that our flips are entry-level homes. We are not putting top of the line finishes in. We are putting budget items that look really good. If you're doing a luxury home, then your costs are gonna be much different because you're not using budget items. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, let's talk about all the different ranges of price per square foot for rehabs. So the first level of this is $5 to $10 a square foot. And that is gonna be your basic paint and carpet rehab. And it's a big range because a small rehab could be as little as just painting the whole house. It could be as little as replacing some light switches, adding some carpet. It's hard to define what exactly it is because it is so small. So if you have a 1,000 square foot home, anticipate that you're gonna spend $5,000 to $10,000 to do a bunch of little things. At $5,000, you can paint the whole house, put new carpet in it, throw it back on the market. The next level up from that would be $15 a square foot, and I call that the lipstick rehab. And this is where people get all bent out of shape because they say, oh, you're putting lipstick on a pig. And it's like, well, number one, they're not all pigs. And number two, this is the lipstick rehab. With the lipstick rehab, you're gonna take what's there and really spruce it up. At $15 a square foot, we're able to do a lot of things. We can paint the interior, we can do some nice flooring. That includes either tile, LVT, laminate. We can add a nice budget granite countertop. We might refinish the showers and the cabinets. So instead of getting brand new cabinets, maybe we can just paint them and make them look really good. Instead of redoing all the showers, maybe the shower tiles in the tub are nice. We can simply glaze them and they look brand new. This is the definition of a lipstick remodel, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. If you're one of these people who thinks you need to replace everything every single time, then you can stop watching the video here. Lipstick remodels are great for newer homes. Maybe the kitchen has those oak cabinets that are out of style now, but they're in great shape, they're clean. If you just paint them really nice and throw some handles on them, they look really good. So I would focus on a lipstick remodel if you got a newer home that just needs some sprucing up. So the next level up from that would be the interior remodel, which is about $20 a square foot. Now this would be replacing everything inside cosmetically. So you're gonna have new paint, new flooring, brand new kitchen cabinets, brand new showers. It's gonna look beautiful. As I said, this is all cosmetic work. We're not talking about replacing plumbing, ACs, roof, or even exterior. But the inside will look brand new. The next level up from that would be a full rehab at $25 a foot. So now you're gonna take everything from the full interior, plus add some exterior. You're gonna paint the outside of the house, you're going to clean up the landscaping, make it look really good. And typically we can do that at $25 a square foot. So here in Las Vegas, we can get a 1,000 square foot house and do all of that at about $25,000. Now, anything above that, you're gonna have to add on as extras. So let's say you need a brand new AC, you're gonna budget another $5,000. Let's say you need to plaster the pool, another $5,000. Let's say you need brand new pool equipment, another $5,000. Let's say you need a new roof, another $5,000. Do all of those things cost $5,000? No. But once again, we are just trying to get an estimate of what we're going to pay. So if I know I need a full remodel at $25 a square foot, and I know I also need a roof, and I also need an AC, I'm gonna take my $25 times the square footage, let's say it's 1,000 square feet, so I have $25,000 plus $5,000 for a roof, plus $5,000 for an AC. I'm gonna estimate my budget to be $35,000. And honestly, that's what we do to estimate repair cost here in Las Vegas. If we get the offer accepted, we will go have a GC walk it and get a full-on bid. And it works out great for us because it allows us to make more offers, but also we're not wasting GC's time. If I was gonna go have a contractor walk every property with me, he'd get tired of me because we're not gonna buy the majority of them. So you need to be able to estimate based on pictures to be successful. Okay, so now that we've talked about price per square foot, let's talk about adjustments. As I said, those are my numbers in Las Vegas. I know those numbers work because we still use them. I know other flippers in Las Vegas use the same exact numbers. I also have students all across the country and some of them have similar numbers in their markets. So I know it works. But that does not mean it's gonna work in your market. You can use this same type of system, but you're going to have to adjust your numbers to your market. If a full interior rehab costs me $20, it may cost you $30 where you're at. It may even cost you $40. I know in Tucson where I flip, a full rehab that would cost me $25 a foot in Vegas cost me $40 a foot there. So I get it, it can vary in different places. The big key is you have to understand what it is in your market so you can accurately estimate repair cost and make an accurate number. By the way, if you're getting good value out of this video so far, do me a big favor, go and hit the like button because I have a few more things I want to share with you. So a lot of you may be wondering, well, I'm not anywhere close to those numbers. My contractors are telling me it's $50, $60 a square foot to do this. And it may be as simple as you need a new contractor. The answer might be yes, it is that expensive in your market and that's what you need to account for, or you don't have the right contractor yet. You may have a retail contractor who is charging you retail rates. We don't pay retail rates as investors. If somebody wants to work with us, it is going to be for lower margin and more volume. So that's what you need to explain to any contractors you're looking at working with if you're investing. And if you want me to do a video on how to find contractors, do me a big favor right now and comment below and I'll make a video on that. But one thing I can say is here in Las Vegas, we can build a home for $70 to $80 a square foot. So when people tell me they need $50 to $60 to remodel, it just doesn't add up. I'd rather go build a new home. And look, I want to take a second to address what I call the construction warriors. A lot of them will say, oh man, if you're not replacing all the plumbing, all the electrical, you're cutting corners, you're putting lipstick on a pig, you guys are selling a bad product. And honestly, what I say to those people is, you're just ignorant. You don't understand the economics of how this works. And I'll give you a prime example. Let's just say I'm working on an entry-level home here in Las Vegas. I plan to sell it for $250,000. I'll be able to hit that doing a $30,000 budget. If I decided to do everything on the home and replace the roof, the plumbing, the electrical, the AC, everything, maybe it costs me another $40,000.
Well, we're not typically making $40,000 on entry-level homes. So economically, it will not work out to change all those things. But let's just say I did anyway. And in order to do it, I end up raising the price 40 grand so that I can accommodate for those costs and put out a good product. Well, I go to list it for $290 and no one can afford it in that area because everyone in that area has a budget of $250,000. Now I have priced them out of a home. Or maybe they try to buy it, but the appraiser will not give me value for it. He thinks everything looks good and it's an awesome home, but he cannot justify $290,000. So what are my options here? I just never buy the home at all because I won't make money, I won't be able to sell it. Or I can buy it with the $30,000 budget, provide a product to a buyer who wants it at $250,000, and be able to buy it from a seller who wanted to sell their home. To me, it's a win for everybody. The buyer at that price point gets exactly what they want and exactly what they expect. Seller gets to sell their property, we get to make money. Everyone wins. But if I go and try and change everything about the home, no one wins. I can't buy from the seller, I can't sell to the buyer, I lose money. So when I say those people are ignorant, it's not to be harsh, but it's the reality. It's economically unfeasible to change everything every time. So the moral of the story is you need to fix what is expected for that neighborhood and that price point and that buyer. They're gonna get an inspection anyway and make sure everything is good. And if they like it and they approve it, then you have done your part for that buyer. And the other thing I'll mention about that buyer is they're not expecting all new stuff. If they wanted all new everything, they would be jumping up to buy a brand new home for $350,000. But they're not. They would much rather own a cheaper home with a lower payment and have older stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. Sorry, a little rant there at the end, but I want you guys to understand the perspective from not only us as the flipper, but from all parties involved in the transaction.
I'm gonna give you all the best tips and tricks for finding good contractors and also managing them so that your property can get done as fast as possible and for the best price. Now, before I tell you about all the ways to find contractors, let me just say that you are always going to be looking for contractors no matter what level you're at. I don't care if you're brand new, just getting started, and you've never done a flip. You're obviously going to be looking for contractors. Or you might one day be like me, where I've got 60 active flips going on right now. Over 30 of those are being renovated as we speak. And so when you're in my position, you're constantly looking for new contractors because you have so many different projects going on. And also the reality is with contractors, you're gonna have turnover. Unfortunately, there might be a contractor you use for years and then all of a sudden something happens and they're just not gonna work out anymore. So my point is, even if you have a great contractor right now at this very moment, always be looking for new ones because you're never gonna know when you need them or when you're gonna level up and start buying more properties. Now, if you are looking for contractors, one of the best ways to do it is by going directly to Home Depot. What you're gonna do at Home Depot is head over to the Pro Desk. Now, if you ask them for any of their contractors, a lot of times they're gonna have people they recommend that have an agreement with Home Depot. But what I would do is hang out at the Pro Desk for a few hours and see all the people that come in and out buying stuff. And if you want this to be really effective, come very early in the morning because that's when the good contractors are buying their stuff. From there, just strike up a conversation with everyone that goes through that line and ask them what they do. Odds are you're gonna get some general contractors who do a little bit of everything, or you're gonna get some people who are specialized in one trade. You should be getting all of their information and building up your list. Now, when you're approaching these contractors, let them know from the beginning that you are an investor. You see, there's a big difference between what they charge for somebody who's retail versus somebody who's an investor. For retail, they know they can charge way more because it's only gonna be a one-time event, and that client's probably gonna be a lot more headache. For the investor, they know that they'll be getting a lot of deals from them, especially if they're buying a lot of properties. They also know that the quality doesn't have to be as good as the retail buyer, and they know the investor is gonna want a discount on the work. And here's the thing, not every contractor is gonna wanna work with investors. There are some who would rather do less jobs and do them for retail people and make more. For some, they'd rather work for investors, knowing they're gonna have continuous work and that they're gonna make more in the long run. So just be upfront with any contractor you talk to, whether it's at Home Depot or whether it's through one of these other ways I'm gonna tell you about. Another great way is through something I call dumpster driving. What you would do is drive around neighborhoods that you know a lot of construction is being done in. Typically, this would be in older neighborhoods because those are the homes that need renovating. So every time you drive around, anytime you see a big dumpster outside, that tells you that somebody is renovating that home. Now for me, I immediately just get out and I go knock on the door and introduce myself. I'll say, hey, my name's Ryan, I'm a real estate investor here. We're doing over 100 deals a year. Are you looking for more work? If they say yes, then I say, great, can I get your information? And oh, by the way, would you mind if I just tour this house to see your work? And honestly, every single time I've done this, I've never been rejected. They always let me tour the house because they want to get more work. And that's actually another side tip for any of these contractors that you're interviewing. If you're able to go see their work in person, definitely go do that. If not, then make sure that you get some pictures or some references from some of their past clients. Just because a contractor says they can do one thing does not make it true. You need to see some evidence from either other people or right in front of you if you're at the job site, or some before and afters with pictures. But probably the biggest way I find contractors is through referrals. Now for me, anytime I'm looking for new contractors, I'll just post on social media and say, hey, looking for some new contractors? Anyone knows somebody who's looking for consistent work on some of our flips? Definitely send me a DM. And by doing this, I'll get DMs from people who know other contractors, and then it just opens up the door to interview these guys. But I really like the referral method because if somebody is willing to put their name on the line on behalf of somebody else, that means they must trust them pretty good. I can tell you, I ain't vouching for anybody that I don't trust, because if they don't do what they're supposed to do, it makes me look bad. And so for that reason, I really enjoy referrals when it comes to construction. So I would utilize social media to let people know you're looking for contractors, or start networking with other real estate investors and ask them for referrals. Now going this route's a little dicey because real estate investors typically don't want to give up their contractors, especially a guy like me where all my guys have been working with me for years and they're always busy. I can definitely tell you, I'm not giving you my contractors. I don't want them working on your job and then it's delaying my job. So going straight to another real estate investor is probably not the best thing to do. But if you go and reach out to realtors or title companies, that could work because they don't really need the contractors for themselves. So if you missed the first video, I bought this house for $1.8 million. Included in that was a $200,000 assignment fee to a wholesaler, which is pretty crazy. But when I bought it, I wasn't sure if I wanted to live in it or if we were just gonna keep it as a flip. I know that we can sell this thing for well over $3 million when it's all said and done. But the more that I've been here, the more I've realized that I do wanna live in this house. And my wife, if you saw from the very first video we did, wasn't so sure, but we both have come around to it since, and I'll explain why here in a sec. So let me go show you what we just did to it. So the backstory of this is that the original owner built this house brand new, about 80% of the way there, and could not finish it. So we pretty much bought it in this same condition that it's currently in. And we did some different things, which I'll show you here in a sec. But long story short, owner ran out of money maybe, I don't know, maybe they just wanted to move. I wasn't really privy to the details, but we got a brand new house that is in a great area. It's 6,000 square feet on a half an acre. And I figured, well, this is a pretty big upgrade from my current house. So, you know, I might as well go move into it if it's going to be the way that we want it. So we initially set a $400,000 budget to complete this entire house. Now, if you saw the first video, then you might be thinking that not much has been done. And I would somewhat agree with you because I'm not very happy with the pace of this project, and I've let our contractor know that because simply it should be moving a lot faster than it currently is. They've had almost 4.5 months, and if you saw the first video, I mean, it looks like all they did was demo, but more has been done, which I'll explain to you as we go through the house. But long story short, you know, with the $400,000 budget, we decided that there were some things we were gonna have to keep. We decided to keep the cabinets. Obviously, we're gonna be putting some new countertops, and we removed all the appliances and everything else so that we could do the construction. What we have done is change the floor plan quite a bit. So one example would be this pantry right here. So originally they had all these cabinets and it was finished for the most part, but we decided we wanted to make this a statement piece. And so we are going to put a secondary fridge over here. We're getting some nice custom cabinets. And then over here, we're gonna have more countertops and way more cabinets because, you know, in the end, its old setup wasn't very functional for how big this space is. And, you know, over here, I'm not quite sure what we're gonna do yet. We might be putting a pocket door, or we might completely close it. I don't really know. Because at the end of the day, you don't really need to enter it from here, mainly because all that's right here is the entrance from the garage. Side note, the garage is one of my favorite parts of this home. It's a 6-car garage. And so when you bring everything together, being a half acre, 6,000 square feet, 6-car garage,
it has almost everything you could ever need in a house. So that's one of the reasons we decided that, we're probably just gonna move into this thing, since there's not really anything else we could buy that fits all those needs. But long story short too, right here is just going to be a mud room. You can see this wall that we built. We are putting a ton of cabinet space for storage, and we'll be able to put our shoes there and jackets and all that stuff. A big difference you're gonna see throughout the house is that when we first bought it, all the walls were closed, like everything was done. It was probably in better shape 4 months ago than it is today. But due to what we wanna do, we have to take out these walls and add a bunch of stuff that the original builder just didn't do. Case in point, right now, we have this wiring company. They've got all of their stuff right here, and they're doing all of these cables and everything throughout the entire house. They're doing the speaker systems, the cameras, the TVs, the internet. They're having to pretty much rip out all of these things so that we can have the highest technology in this house, which, once again, it's something that's new for me, because on our flips, obviously we would never do any of this stuff with the majority of our houses, right? But when you're talking a $3 million home in a nice community, especially one that I'm gonna live in, then we need to do things a little bit differently. So along with that, one of the big changes was closing this off. So originally this was a den, and this is obviously a door, and we decided, you know what? We wanna close this off and make it a second closet for the master. So I'll show you it real quick from the master's point of view. This is probably the biggest structural change we made to the house, because if we're gonna live here, we want the master to be the exact way we want it. So originally you had a vanity right across here. We decided, let's take that out because we don't really need it, and let's build a little storage closet for like linens and towels and all that type of stuff. I think right here we're gonna still put a little vanity so that we could have like a coffee bar or something like that. Another big change was this. So we added this fireplace right here, and it's gonna be, I think they call them 3-way fireplaces. So you could see it on this side, you could see it on the other side, and you could see it on the end. They're doing all the cabling for the TV and all that stuff. They're doing cables up here. You can see right up here, they've already taken out all this drywall in and out, because they're just trying to make sure that this house has all of the right technology to be a true smart home. Another big change was this bathroom. So this wall is brand new. We extended it out because we moved this bathtub. The original bathtub was right here, and it was cool, but my wife really wanted to have a makeup vanity. And so we said, you know what, let's move the bathtub and let's extend the vanity all the way here, and she could have a makeup vanity with natural light and all that stuff. So I'm sure all the ladies can appreciate that, getting the natural light for makeup, and it was something she really wanted. When we moved that tub, we decided to put it right here. And so that's the reason we built this wall, so that the tub could be kind of hidden, and then also too, we could put a TV right here for the tub, and I think that's really cool for someone like me. I like to take a bath and watch TV and chill, so that's gonna be great. Now, one of the big problems with this house was the closet. I mean, it's a good sized closet for, I would say, a normal home, but it's definitely not a closet that I would expect in a home that's over $3 million. So we said, you know what? I'm gonna make this my closet, and we're gonna build Mindy her own closet where the den is. We decided to create an entrance to where that den was that I showed you earlier. Now, originally, this wall just was a wall right here, and the shower was skinny and went all the way across. It was like super long and super skinny. It kind of looked weird, to be honest. So cutting out this 3.5, 4 feet right here didn't really affect the shower, and I'll show you what we actually did with the shower to make it even better. It allowed us to create this walkway into this new closet. So this space is gonna be really nice for her. We're gonna just put, the closet, shelves, and cabinets and everything else throughout all of this. She's gonna once again have some natural light, and I'm sure she's gonna get like a nice mirror right here, and she's gonna love it. I mean, for those of you who follow her on Instagram, she's really into fashion and her outfits and all this stuff, and I think this is gonna be a really cool room for her. So I'm happy that we did that, but also what this allowed us to do was make this shower way different. Originally, you can see this is where the normal floor was. We actually got rid of all the flooring in here, and this was like a little linen area, and it was kind of a waste of space, and the shower was simply just right here where you can see the line, and it was long all the way in this walk path. And I was like, well, what if we got rid of the linen and we made this extended out, so now we have more of a square shower that actually feels even bigger. And so now you can see we got the dual shower head. I think we're building like a rain shower too, and it's just a really big area. We're gonna put a little bench right here, and overall I think it's gonna look great, all the glass surrounding it, and the shower is just gonna look way better. Plus having that secondary closet, which is actually not even a secondary closet, it's bigger than the first one. I think this is what you would expect in a master bathroom for a house of this caliber. Now, one of the weird things about this home is the second floor is on the basement level, which in Vegas is not normal, mainly because to dig in Vegas dirt, they have caliche, is like super expensive. The dirt is so hard that nobody has basements. So this house is super rare in that aspect. But we had to redo these entire stairs. They just weren't very high quality. So we did spend a lot of time revamping this whole thing, and it's gonna be a really nice staircase. But right here, there used to be another little vanity. Obviously they love their vanities. We ended up taking them out. We're gonna do it a little bit smaller so we could create this storage right here for all the kids stuff. I envision this downstairs area being the kids zone, and you know, we'll put a lot of storage there. But I'm gonna actually contradict myself, because the highlight of this area is not really something for kids. It's this. This is going to be the wine room. So we got rid of this entire wall. It used to be like a little door right here. And we're gonna just put a big piece of glass, and it's gonna be the statement piece kind of the house. We had to take out all the walls, all the stuff, so that we could cool it and do all that, but it's gonna be really cool. We're gonna have like bottles on each sides of the wall. We're gonna have a little vanity area so that you could like pour your drinks. And I even think we could put like a little table in here as, you know, like a wine tasting thing. So if any of you guys ever wanna send me wine, send it to my office. We're big wine people. So as you can see, they've got all this cable on the ground. They're still finishing up all of the cabling in the house, especially downstairs. You know, they're doing all the surround sound and all that stuff. But yeah, I envision all of this just being a kid's play area. But one thing over here, we don't have the lights turned on right now, but it used to be a movie theater, which for us, we have a movie theater right now in our current house. We don't use it too much. I think what I'm gonna end up doing is making this a golf simulator. Like, I haven't got Mindy's approval quite yet, but I think this is just like the perfect spot for that kind of thing. Now, the cool part about this basement is you've obviously got these sliders, and it's pretty well lit for being a basement. I mean, I don't even know that you would really even call it a basement, because other areas, basements don't count as living square footage, and you know, they're completely dark and there's just nothing there. Like, that's kind of not the case with this. But whatever, as long as it counts for the appraisal and everything else, I don't really care what you call it. But out here, we're gonna be spending a lot of money just doing this entire backyard. So as you can see, we've got the pool pretty done. It just needs to get the finishing touches. We've got this raised up jacuzzi, which is really nice. It's a really big jacuzzi. We've got the sunbed over there, which is gonna be nice. And then, you know, a big, good sized pool. And the reason we kind of stuck it off to the side versus maybe how other people would do it, where they put it right out the front of the view, is that I would rather keep it off the side for my kids. You know, if I can just like have the pool there, I don't gotta worry about them, and we can just fence off this entire thing straight across. It allows us, you know, from all of those windows over there to be able to see what they're doing. You know, this will be like all turf. There'll be kids' play sets and stuff out here. And then I think back there, we're gonna end up putting a basketball court just to have like a hard court that they could play on. And, you know, I like to shoot hoops and stuff. So this backyard is gonna be really nice, especially because in this area, there's not many houses with half acres, you know? Most of them are more luxury homes on just maybe like a quarter acre or something like that. Cool to see that the pool's almost done. I would hope that that could be done here in the next month. You know, they just gotta do the finish work. And over here, we're gonna end up making this a covered patio. I mean, this patio is so large. If we can do a nice covered one and open up all these doors, it'll give it that indoor-outdoor feel. And I think it's just gonna be amazing. So, you know, overall, I like where the vision is at. Now, even though a bunch of stuff has gotten done, as I said at the beginning of this video, I am not happy with the progress. For 4.5 months, we should be much further along than we are. And, you know, I put the blame on multiple people. For one, we're doing this project in a way different way than we do on all my other flips. We have an interior design team that we've hired. We have a brand new contractor that we're using that's, you know, more of a builder than, you know, somebody who renovates homes and fixes and flips like we do, and things that we're accustomed to, they're not really accustomed to. You know, they want to do everything top of the line, you know, high end, and I guess their timelines are not what we expect. And you know, it's just getting used to all of that stuff. But also along with that, my project management team is not handling this project. My wife and I are handling it because she's been working with the design team, you know, picking out what designs they like, and she's the one kind of running the project with everything. And so it's just not as efficient as our normal flips that we go do all outside of Vegas. You know, you could go check our other 50 projects around town. They're moving at a much quicker pace than this, but they don't have all the things going on with this. And this is, you know, gonna be our biggest rehab to date. You know, I initially set the budget at $400,000 to do everything. If I can stay at 500, I'd be really happy with it. There's obviously still a lot of margin there for profit and all that stuff, but you know, it's just been not the way it needs to be. And so hopefully here on the next video update, we're much further along than where we are today. But I am really happy that we're going through this process because we own land that we're actually building my dream house on. If you followed me for a while, then you've probably seen those YouTube videos talking about how I bought a mountain and I'm building my dream home. That is still happening right now. But I also understand that that's, you know, 3-4 years away from now. So living in this until then would be a really great thing for us. And it's given us the experience of what it's gonna be like building a house. You know, you're gonna have to go with a builder and learn all of these things from the ins and outs. You're gonna have that interior design team. You're gonna have to manage your own project since we're the ones living there. My project manager can't decide what we want. And so even though it's not going the way that I want it to go thus far, we're learning a ton for the next build, and I'm sure that we're gonna learn a ton more, and it's gonna have been something that's really good for us as a learning lesson overall. But overall, you know, I didn't plan to move. This house wasn't something I was searching for. It just came up with everything that we normally do in my house flipping company. It was another flip that was honestly one of the first houses in years that we've gotten where I'm like, look, I would actually move into that. Like, that's way better than what I have now, and I'm glad that we found it.
The very first thing that you're going to have to do is choose what market you want to be in. And there's a few things that you're going to look at with choosing a market. The very first thing is proximity. So proximity is, do you want to flip in your market today where you're at, or do you want to go to a different market, another state, another city, another county, whatever that looks like? You're going to have to choose which market you want to be in before you do anything else, right? You can't, you know, go and start trying to flip if you don't know where it's going to be. A lot of people have a hard time choosing their market. So I'm going to give you 3 things that help you choose your market. Okay, so the first thing I want you to look at is the population in the area which you've chosen. I want it to be at least 500,000 people. The reason for that is you need a lot of people in order to do a lot of deals. You can't do deals in a small town at a high level of volume because there's only so many buyers and sellers. So I always recommend at least 500,000 people. As long as you've got 500,000 people, you can do a lot of deals because there's a lot of different homes to be bought and sold. Okay, the second thing you're gonna look at is price point. Now, a lot of you guys will say, well, I'm in the Bay Area or I'm in New York where it's super expensive. Well, even in those areas, there's always markets outside of them. Maybe it's an hour, maybe it's 2 hours where prices are more affordable. You know, a lot of times I get it. Like, you don't want to flip in an area where homes are $1 million. That makes it tough. That should not stop you. But what you do need to look at is the price point at which you do want to flip. There's many successful people I know that flip in the high luxury market and they do really well. Do I advise beginners to do that?
No.
What I teach is entry-level flipping. You know, I've built my system to flip, over 100 plus homes a year with entry-level housing because it's much easier in my opinion. It requires less customization, less headache. I prefer it. The homes sell quicker, requires less money. I prefer entry-level, and I would choose a market that has more of a lower price point. What you need to do is look at price point and choose which market you want to be in based on that as well. The last point I want to make about market is inventory level. And so inventory level is going to play a huge role in choosing your market. So the way you calculate inventory level is to take all the active homes in your area and divide it by all the homes sold in the last 30 days. Let's take the Las Vegas market for instance. I'm gonna look it up here real quick. Okay, so I'm here on my MLS. I'm in Las Vegas. Here's what I would do to calculate inventory. I would take the actives, which are right here. There's over 5,000, so it doesn't say. So what I have to do is click it. And I see that we have 8474. But here's what I actually like to do more so is only look up single family. So I'm gonna filter it down to single family. I think that gives a better indication of what's going on with the market. So let's look at how many single families we have. All right, 6391. Now what we do is we take the last 30 days sold. So last 30 days sold, and we have 1905. What we would do is we would take 6,391 and divide that by, let's see what we get, 1905. And that gives us 3.35. And what that represents is how many months of inventory we currently have. And so when you have anywhere from 3 to 4 months, that's pretty average. That's an average market where it's not gonna be skewed in one favor or the other. If nothing were to change, if no new homes were to hit the market in the next 3.35 months, they would all sell. It's also called absorption rate. How do you use that to put that in perspective? Well, perspective would be that anything from 1 to 3 months is a seller's market. That means there's not a lot of stuff on the market. So if you're trying to buy, it's difficult because you don't have many options. Once you get to like that 3 to 4 month range, which is where we're at, it's a pretty neutral market. We're not one way or the other. You're gonna get things that sell quickly. You're gonna get things that take a while to sell. It's pretty normal. Once you get above the 4 month range, 5 month range, 6 month range, you need to run. That means things are not selling. There's not very many buyers in that market. And that's not where you wanna flip, right? When you put your property on the market, you wanna make sure that your property sells when you put it there. So you want to be in a market where it's at least neutral, preferably a seller's market. So those are the things you need to look at when you're choosing a market: your proximity to where you're at, your population, your price point, and then the inventory level. You do those things, you're going to pick a good market. Okay, so step 2 of this is building out your team. You cannot flip a house unless you have the right team members. So here's the team members that you need. Number 1, a real estate agent. Number 2, a contractor. Number 3, a lender. And number 4, a title company. So I'm not going to get into too in depth on how to find each of those people because I can make a whole new video on each aspect of that. But for all purposes of this video, just realize those are the 4 pieces you need. You cannot do this business without them. Finding a reliable realtor, a reliable contractor, a title company that's gonna get it done, and a reliable lender are gonna be key to you flipping houses. Okay, the third thing you're gonna need to do is learn to evaluate deals. Now, evaluating deals is the hardest part to teach in this business because it takes time to learn how to figure out your construction cost, figure out how to comp properties. I will do other videos on that, but realize right now you need to learn at least the basics of evaluating properties. So first off, it's not what TV makes it look like, okay? TV will tell you take your sales price minus your purchase price minus your construction cost minus realtor fees, and that's your profit. You win. And I'm here to tell you, if you use that, you will lose money every single time. Do not do that. Don't listen to HGTV. I don't care what all these guys tell you they do on their flips. It's not true. So here's the real formula. You take that first formula and take the sale price minus your purchase price minus your rehab costs minus your realtor fees. But now you add in all these other costs that they don't mention. Your money cost, which is what did you pay the lender. Your holding cost, which are your taxes, your utilities, your insurance, your closing cost, which are the fees that you had to pay the title company in order to buy and sell that property. And then lastly, any other fees that you may experience while you're flipping it. That is what is your true profit. So do not make the mistake of thinking that,
oh man, as long as I just figure out my purchase price, my rehab costs, my realtor fees, like I'm good to go. I can make money.
No, you will lose money by doing it that way. Real quick, before I get in the next step, make sure if you're getting value out of this video that you go ahead and smash that like button. It's gonna help it get promoted to other beginners like yourself so that they too can flip their first home. Now let's get into step 4. So once you learn how to evaluate deals properly, you can now move on to the next step, which is finding the deals.
deals. Now, people do seminars about them. I have my own course about how to find deals. I've talked for days on end about finding deals. This video, like I said, I'm going to make other videos detailing them more in depth. I want you to just know the big picture of how to find deals. And there's really just 3 ways. Number 1, the MLS. That's what you would typically see. Just like anything you see on Zillow, that could potentially be a deal. We've made a lot of money buying deals off the MLS. A lot of people, they'll tell you that,
Oh, the MLS is garbage. You cannot make money off of it. It's too competitive.
it's not true. I'll give you guys many different examples of deals we've profited off of heavily on the MLS. So don't let people tell you that. The second way to find deals are wholesalers. If you don't know what a wholesaler is, which I assume most of you don't, it is somebody that finds the deal for you. Now that sounds pretty cool, right? What a wholesaler does is they're essentially a middleman deal finder. So here's how it would work. The wholesaler would get the property under contract with the seller. So let's just say, for our example, they get it under contract for $100,000. And they would go to the flipper,
which is me,
and they would say, hey, Ryan, do you want to buy this deal for $120,000? And I would look at the deal and I would say whether $120,000 worked for me or not. You know, I would use the tools I used in the previous step on evaluating deals. And if 120 works for me, then I would say, yeah, I'll buy it for 120. Well, from there, the wholesaler will then assign me the contract. They'll assign me the rights to the deal for the difference. So they had it under contract for 100 and they're going to assign it to me for $20,000 and I will be buying it for $120,000. Here's what happens in all of that. The wholesaler never even has to buy the property. The seller still gets their $100,000. I get a property I really like and think I will make money on for $120,000. Everyone wins. I've bought hundreds of deals from wholesalers just like this, and I've paid big fees and small fees. I've paid anywhere from $500 to over $100,000, you know? It just really depends on how good the deal is. Wholesaling is a great way to start. Just realize as a flipper, wholesalers are going to be a great resource for you to find deals because they are doing all the work for you. Essentially, all you have to do is just decide whether you want to buy the deal or not. One of your goals will be to just find all the wholesalers in your market. So the last way we find deals is through direct to seller marketing. There's a lot of different ways you can market. You can do direct mail, texting, cold calling. You know, we advertise on TV, we have commercials.
I'm Ryan Pineda with HomeRunOffer.com, and I want to buy your house.
You can do PPC, which is pay-per-click on Google, so that, you know, you're at the top page of Google when somebody says,
I want to sell my house for cash.
that's when you would pop up. You can do SEO, which is search engine optimization. That's how you can organically get to the top of Google. So when you are direct to the seller, you're going to get a better deal because there's no middleman taking a fee. So you don't need to be an expert at all these different ways. You know, when I first started, I only bought off the MLS. Then I started buying off wholesalers. And then eventually, years down the road, I started marketing to sellers. For beginners, I suggest just looking on the MLS and wholesalers starting out. You know, marketing has a big expense to it. It takes sales skills, it takes follow-up, whereas these other ones are much easier, they're cheaper. I always recommend going off MLS and wholesalers when you're starting out. So the next step to this is actually buying a home. There's pretty much 4 ways you can buy a home. You can either buy it with your own cash, which many people starting out don't have. I didn't have that when I started either. When I did, I only had 10 grand, which is more than most people, but obviously a lot of people wouldn't think they could buy a home with 10 grand, but you definitely can. But to get back on track, most people can't buy their first one with cash. So let's say you don't have the cash. The second way people traditionally think of buying a home is just with your typical 30-year mortgage. That is going to be a great way to buy a home for a rental property or maybe a second home or your primary residence, but it's not a good way to buy property for a flip, mainly because flips aren't going to be in great condition. You may not be able to get a loan on it. Sellers aren't going to really want to do that way though, because they're selling you it at a discount. So they want to close quick. Now, how do you close quick if you don't have cash and you know you're not able to do a 30-year loan? Well, the other 2 ways to go about it are through hard money or private money. Hard money lenders you can just go find online. Just search, you know, wherever you are. I'm in Las Vegas. I would search Las Vegas hard money lenders. Another way you can do it is national hard money lenders. If you just search hard money lenders, you will see that there are a ton of different lenders out there who will fund your deals. Like I said, I will do videos more in depth on these subtopics, but just know that if you just Google, you will find different hard money lenders. The last piece of this is the private lender. The private lender is going to be somebody that you know, maybe they're a friend, their family, family, someone you play golf with, whatever the case is. The beauty with private money is that everything is negotiable. You figure out what works for them, what works for you, and you guys can figure out how to do a deal together. All right, so after you figure out what lender you're gonna use, you're going to buy the home, and now it's time to renovate. So as we talked about in step 2 with building out your team, you're gonna need a good team of contractors. And contractors are gonna have to be somebody that can actually handle the job. Just 2 quick tips I can give you on contractors is, number 1, you pay for what you get. A lot of these guys who tell you they can do a job really cheap, a lot of times it ends up being either cheap work, they can't finish the job, they need more money later on during the job. So make sure that you get multiple bids on the property. I would advise getting at least 3 bids. When you get 3 bids, you're able to see whether, one guy's off, whether one guy is trying to just really overcharge you. So this is what you should expect to pay. Pick the contractor that you feel most comfortable with. Pick somebody who, has shown you a portfolio of work they've done. They've shown you before and afters. They come with recommendations. They are honest, licensed. All these things are gonna play a big role in what contractor you choose. And I would just say that number 1, make sure you're getting multiple bids. Second thing I would say is, don't always go with the cheapest bid. A lot of times you get what you pay for. And I've been a victim of that. I've gone with guys who, say they're gonna do it for way less, and then they either quit on the job because they can't do it for that price, or they take forever because they realize they underbid the job and now they can't hire out the subs needed to finish, and so they try and finish it on their own, and it just takes forever. It's just bad. The third thing I've seen them do is just change order you to death. They underbid it knowing that they can't do it for that price, and they just know that they're going to hit you with change orders later on to get the price that they want. Cheapest isn't always the best. So once you've renovated the property, now it's time to list it. So this is where your realtor is going to come into play. Picking a good realtor is so key in this process because a good realtor can make you an extra $10,000, $20,000 by doing the right things like getting good pictures, putting a good description, doing great marketing, being a better negotiator than another realtor. Treat it like we treat the contractor. Do not just pick the cheapest person because they're the cheapest. I would say pick a realtor that you feel good with, who you're comfortable with, who has a good reputation, and don't be afraid to pay them what they're worth. Now, at the end of the day, as you start doing more, maybe you can work in a better fee, but I would advise that if you're a brand new flipper, you should pay them a full fee because you're not sure what you're doing yet and they're gonna be walking you through a ton of stuff. So don't be afraid to pay for a good realtor. So once you've listed it, hopefully you get an offer really quick, your realtor takes care of you, the inspection goes well, and then you finally sell the home to the end buyer. You finally cash your check. That's really all the steps needed to flipping a house, guys. It's not as complicated as it seems. So there are a few things I wanna conclude with, and it's number 1, false beliefs. Most beginners have at least some type of false belief, and I talked about it in the beginning. And if you're watching here to the end, I want you to realize that all those beliefs you probably have about why you can't do it aren't true. You don't need a lot of money starting out. I mentioned in this video that I started out with $10,000, and that is more than enough to start flipping houses. I also mentioned that some people's false belief is that their market's too competitive. That's also not true. Every market that is any decent market is competitive. There are people that live there for a reason. There are people that invest there for a reason. You can do well. It doesn't matter if you live in Vegas or LA, New York, Phoenix. All of these markets have plenty of people in them making money. And lastly, you can flip under any circumstance. Right now, as I'm filming this, I'm here at my house, I'm in quarantine, we've got the whole coronavirus pandemic going on. I think it's a better time than ever to start flipping houses personally because you have so many people leaving the flipping space because of fear, because of uncertainty. There is less competition more than ever right now due to what's going on. So when things were good, everyone was all about flipping and it was more competitive. Now that things are not so good, there are less people in the game. So I think in either scenario, whether it's good, whether it's bad, recession, boom, it doesn't really matter. You can make money as long as your numbers are right.
Behind me is one of our $10 million plus flips here in Las Vegas. Now, a lot of them have been going really well. We've been making some good money, but this one didn't go as planned. So I want to explain to you why that happened and kind of the thought process behind why we did what we did. So let me show you. All right. By the way, if you're new to this channel, my name is Ryan Pineda. I'm a real estate investor and entrepreneur here in Las Vegas. I flipped hundreds of homes. We own almost 500 rental units. So we do a lot of real estate. Now, We just recently got into flipping luxury homes. It's not something that I've done in the years past, but with this market being so crazy, we decided to start buying a ton of these because they're appreciating so much. And this house is a perfect example of a home I would not have bought in years past, but I decided to take a chance on. So this home is in South Las Vegas and it is over 3,300 square feet. Now, one of the big selling points of this home is that it's on a half-acre lot and it's in a gated community. All are very desirable here in Vegas. Now, the reason this flip was tough for us is because it was actually in good shape. You see, when a house is totally old and beat up, you know you got to rip out everything and replace it all, and you can kind of figure out what you're going to sell it for. This is the case with the majority of our other luxury flips. But this house is pretty new, as you could tell from the outside, and it already had so many things that were in great shape. For example, this floor is exactly how we bought it. These cabinets are the same cabinets we had when we bought it. And so you start looking at this kind of stuff and you say, well, yeah, is it kind of dated in today's standard? Maybe, but do I need to really get rid of all this tile that's in perfect condition? Do I need to get rid of these cabinets that are in perfect condition? And the answer is, it really depends what you want to sell it for and how big of a risk do you want to take. So for example, we could have taken this home in 3 different ways. For one, we could have tried to sell it as is. It was already in livable condition. Yeah, it needed paint and needs some other things, but overall we could have tried to sell it as is or did a very light touch up. The middle ground would have been doing things like changing countertops, potentially changing a bathroom, but still, it's already in good shape. The high-end option would have been completely tearing out everything, redoing the floors, brand new kitchen, new everything. And I just felt like with how great of an area this is in Las Vegas, looking at the other comps, it wasn't gonna be a very wise decision to try and go full-blown rehab. And one of the reasons that I felt that way is because with luxury flips, you have really high holding costs. Your hard money loan is really expensive, your property taxes are more, and so if you could get the property on the market quicker, it's probably gonna be better for you. And along with that, when I bought this home, we were going into the winter. So I said, if we can get this thing listed before the winter when things slow down, we're gonna be able to save on holding costs. If we end up having to hold this thing throughout the winter, then we're gonna end up losing a lot of that momentum and those buyers that are buying before that. So I just said, you know what? Let's do the bare minimum option. Let's try and spend like $20,000. Let's repaint the house. Let's fix some of the really ugly things. For instance, like these pillars. There were some weird like paint that was like brown and I don't even know how to describe it. There was all this stone on the wall that didn't really look that good. And I said, let's just get rid of all that. Let's make it a little more modern and we'll repaint it. We'll get new stuff like this carpet and let's throw it back on the market. So that's exactly what we did. As far as numbers go, we bought this house for $840,000 and there was multiple comps. I thought that it could sell for anywhere between $1 million to $1.1 million, but the fact of the matter is the market is so hot right now that we're just trying to overprice everything because people are paying for it. So what we ended up doing was the bare minimum and we tried to get top dollar. And I'm not saying that that was the wrong thing, but you can't really press your luck both ways. You can try and do a smaller rehab, but to try and get top dollar while doing a smaller rehab is a tough feat. And I would argue that that was probably one of our biggest mistakes. I don't think that going the small rehab was the big mistake. I think that trying to do both was a mistake. If we were to try and go for top dollar, we should have just renovated the whole place, but then again, the market is so hot. Normally I would never have done that, but I'm like, well, let's just give it a shot. You just never know in today's market what's gonna happen. And before we continue with the rest of the house, if you have not heard, we just launched a brand new YouTube channel for Future Flipper. We're releasing real estate only content on that channel. So every single day, you've got some of my students, my coaches, myself, making videos on how to flip, wholesale, buy rentals, apartments, Airbnbs, you name it. That channel is 100% real estate. So if that's something you're into and you like this kind of content, you have to subscribe to that channel. So do it. So after doing the bare minimum and listing it for 1.2 million, it kind of sat there. We did not get offers on it, and 1.2 would have kind of been the highest comp in the neighborhood. There were other comps at 1 to 1.1 million, but I felt like with how clean it was outside and this backyard, which I'm in now, it could potentially get it. In Las Vegas, having yards this big is pretty rare. I mean, there's not many houses I've flipped that have a full basketball court. My house is the only one I know that has a court. This pool is obviously pretty new. It's got that modern design, it's good size. I mean, it's a great pool. They also did a really good job with this fire pit. We literally didn't touch anything in this backyard, you know? We should have replaced the net on the hoop, but nonetheless, I felt like this backyard was gonna be what sold the home, not necessarily the inside. I felt like if the inside was livable, the backyard was gonna attract somebody who was looking for something unique like this. So we priced it at 1.2. We did not get offers, and we had a choice to make. The property was sitting on the market for a few months. You know, we did a couple of price drops, and we weren't getting the traffic we wanted. And so we said, you know what? Let's take it off the market and let's do the next level up renovation. Instead of doing the bare minimum, let's do that middle tier renovation. After taking it off the market, we upgraded a few of the things. One of the big ones was this countertop. So on the original house, it had, you know, one of those brown granites that, you know, kind of look outdated. And we said, you know what, we'll put a nice quartz right here, kind of put that throughout the house, give it a better, more modern feel. And this should help sell it. We did a couple of other small things that, you know, you see today with this house flip. It still has a ton of the original stuff. And if you've ever watched some of my other flip videos, I always say, I never like to be in the middle. I always like to be on one end or the other. I want to fully flip it, or I want to just sell it as is. But this house was so difficult because it's in really good shape as is, and there are comps selling in similar shape. But, you know, at the end of the day, the market will tell you what something is worth. I do believe that had we priced it lower initially, we could have definitely got a good offer. If we would have came in priced at 1.1 million or 1,050,000, I do think that we could have got that and saved a lot of money in holding cost and not had to spend more on renovation, but it is what it is. I mean, that's house flipping. Sometimes you make mistakes and, you know, you gotta kind of just go with what you think's gonna work, and then if it doesn't, you gotta adjust. Long story short, after a few months of being on the market and having all these holding costs, we take it off, we put this renovation in, and then we relist it with this new, you know, flip. Eventually, we end up accepting an offer for $1,050,000. Like I said, you know, that I think we could have got originally, but, you know, we had to do it after waiting months of hard money and adding more renovation. And, you know, even with that, we're still going to make a profit. When you add the numbers up, we bought it for $840,000 and we put about $50,000 in renovation cost. But the big thing eating us up is our holding cost. You know, we've had this property for, I'd guess, almost 8 or 9 months now. So if we have a property for 9 months at, say, $8,000 a month holding cost, that's 70 grand right there just in hard money payments. And that was actually the reason I tried to flip it, you know, with the bare minimum, because I knew that our payments were so expensive. So I was just trying to be in and out of it in a few months. But, you know, it didn't work out, mainly because we overlisted it and, you know, we did the bare minimum, and it is what it is. We don't make the right decisions every time. And actually, I don't even want to say that we didn't make the right decision, because there is an alternative scenario where we go and gut everything and maybe we spend $150,000 on this place and then we go to list it for 1.2 and, you know, we don't get it. Or we end up making the same because the renovation costs so much. The timeline to get it done got extended, and at the end of the day, it ends up being the same profit margin regardless. Like, that very well could have happened. So, you know, for me, anytime I can make a profit, I am gonna be very happy. I've been through so many flips where I've lost money that anytime I break even at a bare minimum, I count my blessings because I've been through it. Which brings me to another point. I actually didn't explain this at the start of the video, but I have a JV partner on this house. So somebody brought us this deal, and originally they wanted me to buy it straight up from them. I don't even remember what they offered it to me for, but it was too much. And I said, hey, I don't think this house is gonna get more than 1 million to 1.1, depending on what you do. I know that there is a comp for 1.2, but I think it's kind of an outlier. And, you know, he was trying to use the 1.2 to justify what, you know, he was asking for the home. And I said, I'm not paying that much. If you can get someone to pay for it at that price, then you should sell it to them. Well, he couldn't. And eventually he came back and I said, look, I don't know what this house is gonna sell for. It's very, who knows, which is kind of why we're in the predicament we're in. It kind of played out how I thought it might play out. Very much, there's a wide range of possibilities. And I said, look, I'll joint venture with you. We'll have a profit split. And if it does great, then we both win. That way, you know, you're not getting hosed right now, and I'm not just paying you based on the worst case scenario. If we get best case scenario, you make more money. But if we do hit worst case scenario, then, you know, I'm not over here losing money, because if I were to have paid him, you know, what he was asking for the property originally, I would have lost money on this house, okay? So we end up going into this joint venture together, and, you know, we list it for 1.2. You know, he's really excited. He hasn't done many flips. And I said, we'll see what happens. Like, I'll list it at whatever. I don't really care. Like, hopefully we get it. Doesn't work out. We're sitting. And, you know, we end up redoing it and doing it. And then eventually, you know, we take this offer for, you know, $1.05 million. And, you know, after all these months of waiting and all this different renovation, at $1.05 million, you know, we'll probably make anywhere from 60 to 70K, you know, net profit that we're going to end up splitting. And, you know, for him, he was really disappointed in it. And he called me and, you know, he was upset. And I said, look here, dude, like, many of you know my personality on YouTube. I kind of didn't really have any sympathy for him. And I just said, dude, you're making money on the flip, okay? First off, anytime you make money, you count your blessings and be grateful, because I've experienced losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I'm never gonna, you know, throw a fit over making money. But number two, this is exactly why I joint ventured, right? Because I didn't know how this was gonna play out. There was so many different ways that it could have happened with, you know, the market going into the winter, what kind of rehab we do, the holding costs. Like, I typically never JV with people because I know exactly what something's gonna sell for. If I know it's a good deal, I don't take a JV partner, I just go and buy it. But the fact that this was so unknown, I said, look, we win together if we win, we lose together if we lose. And I think we hit our worst case scenario, which was making, you know, $60,000 to $70,000 that we're gonna split. And to me, even though it's not ideal on a property that, you know, costs this much, and, you know, we could have potentially made more if we maybe made a different decision, I definitely ain't gonna cry about it, because I love anytime I make money on a house flip. But anyways, that's the story of this luxury flip. Like I said, they do not all end up as planned, and every time you jump into a house like this, you always have multiple decisions you have to make that could drastically impact the timeline, how much your profit is, how much more risk you're gonna have in the deal, how much more capital you're gonna put in the deal. And you gotta make your best decision and roll with it. And if it doesn't work out, then you adjust and move forward and move on. So that's kind of what I told our partner, and you know, keep that in mind if you're ever flipping a house like this. And also, if you want to learn how to flip houses, I've got thousands of students all across the country at Future Flipper. People are doing luxury flips like this, entry-level homes, mobile homes, condos, you name it. We're flipping houses everywhere. We're buying rentals and wholesaling and doing some cool stuff. So if you want to work with our team and be coached by me directly, and in today's episode, we're gonna check out my buddy Casey's luxury flip he just finished. So a lot of the property tours we go on are on my flips, and many of my flips are just entry-level homes because that's my niche. That's what I like doing. But a lot of my friends love doing the luxury flips, over $1 million. So we're gonna meet with him today, and he's gonna walk us through his flip. We're gonna talk about numbers, go over how he got the deal, and see what he's gonna profit. What's up, dude?
What's up, man?
Welcome to your house.
Thank you.
A little elbow.
Elbow?
Yeah. Dude, I'm excited to see it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we put a lot of work in it, a lot of design, a lot of getting all the specifics down to the details.
Yeah, why don't you show us it? I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. Come on.
Dude, you killed it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it turned out great.
How much is this listed for?
It's listed for 1.3. You're actually, I'm sorry, it was at 1.3. It's listed right now for 1.259, so 1,259,000.
Wow. Is this the most expensive flip you've ever done?
Yeah, I think it's one of the top. I've done one in Southern Highlands before that I think we sold it for 1.25 or 2.25, but yeah, so this is the most expensive one I've done.
Nice. Well, look, show us around, dude.
Yeah, so we, obviously we tore out all the floors, we did new baseboards and everything. This model comes with a fireplace and without, and I flipped a model match to this in the Eastgate and a couple years back, and it had the fireplace, so this one didn't. So I added the fireplace, I framed it up, I did the linear 60-inch linear fireplace. What else? There was wall.
Well, with this fireplace, tell me this, like, how much does it cost to do something like this? Because this is a really big showpiece. What do you think?
It's a lot cheaper than tiling up the whole thing, so that's why we chose to do it that way. And it has a shock value or whatever you want to call it, but I think it costs like probably $1,500 in framing, and then another $1,500 in the finish of the trim and the paint and all that stuff. And then you got your tile, maybe another $500 in tile, and then your fireplace. So
yeah,
maybe $3,000 to $4,000 total for the whole thing.
Right. For, you know, even if it's $5,000.
Yeah.
This is totally worth it. For
absolutely. Yeah.
Of this caliber.
Yep.
So I like that. I was looking. This was the first thing that stood out to me when we walked in. Is like the walls are white and the baseboard's white.
Yep.
Which is like used to be a no-no.
Yeah.
It was like, dude. You said, like, what color are you going to paint it? But
right.
It's in style now.
Yeah, white on white. Keep it bright, keep the natural light exploding in here. And then everything else we try to create stark contrasts with usually. So that's why I chose the dark color for the fireplace to create that contrast.
Right.
Yep.
So tell me about these areas.
So obviously we put new light fixtures and stuff in. There was a wall here, and then there was also this area here. The columns actually came out to like here is a little walkway. So I wanted, so when you're in the courtyard and when you come into the house, that being that the kitchen is tucked around the corner here, I wanted you to be able to see it through those doors. We replaced the front doors and be able to pull this back so you could see the kitchen from the front door and from the courtyard. So we pulled this back. Was
this already here?
Yeah, the bar was here. Yep.
This is cool how the bar can go from the outside.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, we thought about doing like something.
The indoor, outdoor.
Exactly, like carrying it out like that, but you got to stop somewhere. So
you could go way over.
Right, I'm not moving in, so I'll leave those. So some people could like it or hate it, so those kind of things I try to leave out if I can.
Right.
Yeah, we did the waterfall island.
Motion?
No, he just flicked the light.
Oh, my camera guy did that. I was like,
yes, yeah, they're motion lights. Yep.
I've never seen motion in the kitchen. Cool.
Yeah, so we did the waterfall island. We did. I painted the island black so that again for the contrast and add some dimension to it.
Oh yeah.
And then we added little touches of the brushed brass because that's super in right now too. And then the black hardware on the white cabinets for contrast. We had all these walnut shelves custom made, and then we matched the hood with the shiplap hood, and then the accent also to match the shelves. Then we got all of our professional appliances.
So who picked all these finishes?
I did.
You picked them. So you came in here and you're like, I want white, walnut, black counter.
Yep.
I want to switch it here.
Yep.
I can't do that. You guys know that.
Well, yeah, and I go through phase, like this was black at one point, I repainted it white, then I repainted it black again. I'm like, it looks bad, it looks good. So then there's phases, but generally like this, when I do this design, it's really similar to my personal house. So whenever I have a higher end house, I just kind of plug it, because I went through all the hassle of picking all the finishes for that one. I'm like, it looks great. Let's just drop it in these higher end houses. Right. And the one we did in the Southern Highlands, very similar, like countertop type, shelves, hood, design and everything, so.
I'll tell you, this is my favorite part. Like if you guys can't feel it, but it's like a texture matte.
Yeah, it's honed. Yeah, exactly. It's a matte finish.
That's what it's called, honed?
Yeah, exactly.
Because like I'm used to, the nice, like almost every counter's like this.
Right.
Does this cost a lot more?
So these slabs came this way, but when Like I got marble slabs for my new house and they're polished. I love the honed and leathered feeling. So you could feel the veins from the side. This one's honed, leathered's when you can feel the texture.
Okay.
So these are honed, but like anytime you have a party, people are like, what is this? They've never seen it before.
Yeah.
You know, and matte, like flat finishes are in, so.
Dude, I love matte.
Yep.
I love it. Dude, this fridge.
Yes.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Dude.
I had to scavenge to find this too because they discontinued it. I built this kitchen for this fridge because these fridges are actually pretty inexpensive and they discontinued it, so I had to look everywhere trying to find one last one of these before they were gone.
It?
I found it. I ordered one on Amazon and then or actually ordered a couple, and then every time the distributors.
This was all during the pandemic too.
Yeah, coming towards the end of it, yeah. So, or the beginning of it, excuse me. So they like right away, they're like, they would call me and be like, hey, we had it on Amazon, they were already all sold out. And then I order another one, same thing. I get a call the next day from the person saying, we refunded your card. And finally I found one and got it here in time, so.
So how much is this?
Really, these are like $3,500.
Oh, dude, that's,
yeah,
I was thinking this is like $10,000.
Well, yeah, now they came to their senses. It's been like that for 5 years, but now they're releasing their new version of it and it's like $7,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, this is one of the biggest fridges I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. And it was already framed in like this? You bought
No,
it?
so actually the range used to be here with a hood above it.
Oh.
And then I moved the range and everything here so you could see all of it and then have the fridge right here. It just felt right to me. So I just swapped the range in the fridge.
I think this is interesting. It's like
It's book
gold.
matched.
Yeah,
Oh.
like the gold is so like out of style. Now it's back. The white walls are back.
Yeah, and you know what's funny with the gold it's like, it's super it's very trendy right now, but then I'll have people that aren't up on it and they'll be like, why didn't you change the faucets? And I'm like, well, we did, but you might not like it, but we did do that, we did.
Yeah, that's what I picked, yep.
Yep.
This is a single story home.
Yep.
I love just all of this being open. You know, you got your 2 living rooms.
Mm-hmm. Vaulted ceilings are my favorite part about this model.
Yeah, anytime you can get a single story home with
2-story vaulted ceilings, yeah.
Like how tall is this? Like 14 feet, probably 15 feet?
I think those are 3 by 3.
Those are probably 3 feet. Wow.
Because I have 14-foot ceilings in my entryway to my new house, and it is way bigger, yeah.
So you've got a little powder room over here.
Yep.
It's funny, like anytime you're doing a home tour, you're like, this is the powder. It's just
it's like, okay, we're done.
Yeah. All right, that's it. Next room. So is this the master?
No, the master's over on this wing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. So this goes right here, but it has its own
Goes to the
bathroom.
courtyard. Yep. Each of the bedrooms have their own bathroom, full bath.
That's big time.
Yep.
Was it like that before, or you added it?
No, it's like that. All these higher end homes a lot of times have it.
I like it.
So it's 4 baths, 3 bedrooms for the.
Okay. So you did actually keep some stuff.
Yeah.
You
Again.
kept the original tile here.
Right. Because you have to stick to your budget, and there's some places you can cut.
Yeah.
And I feel like we were debating on what kind of stuff we're going to do for the kitchen and how far we're going to go with remodeling the pool.
Right.
And I was like, for me personally, I'd rather, if I had to give up something, is the secondary baths for your kids and stuff. They don't care what the tile is. I'd rather have where everyone's going to be hanging out, spend the money there. So
Right.
That's what we did.
And that's what we talk a lot about on this channel, guys, is you can't just do everything on every house. You got to just do what's going to get a return so it makes sense.
Yep.
What's in here?
You got your laundry room.
Dude, this laundry room's huge.
Huge, yeah.
Wow. And does it sleep in the outside?
This is the garage.
Oh, that's the garage. Okay.
Yeah.
3 car.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And so you match the kitchen.
Mm-hmm. Yep, match the kitchen, and this is another, that bathroom matches the other one. They're just kind of.
Yeah, same deal. We were saying this on another video. It's like, this is a bedroom.
Yeah.
It has a window.
And
closet.
walls and closet doors.
It has walls. Like, you could sleep here.
Not much to say about bedrooms.
Yeah. I don't know how the guys on HGTV can like dramatize it, because it's just like,
It's a bedroom.
this is what it is. You know what I noticed interesting is you didn't stage the bedrooms, but you staged the living area.
Yeah.
This master is staged.
Right.
That's just with budget again.
Yeah, especially because these higher end homes, sometimes they take longer to sell, and so you have to pay for your monthly staging. The secondary bedrooms, again, they're not as important as the master and the living room.
Right.
You know. So.
Yeah. If people will always sacrifice their kids, you know. Like,
Yeah.
You know what?
They can live with it. They can have a sleep.
If
I
they
should have
have-
just laid some sleeping bags out.
If a kid has their own bathroom,
Yeah.
they're living all right. They'll be okay.
Exactly.
Okay, this is like my favorite thing on the new homes is like tiled or laminated or like whatever ceiling. I
Yep.
think that's so cool.
It's laminate, yeah. So we
Laminate?
have laminate on the ceilings, laid just like they do the floor, except they nail it up there as they're going along.
Right. And this is my favorite part of like these new homes is, you know, or not new homes, but these luxury homes is they always have like a master into the pool.
Right, access to the
Right.
pool, exactly. And this one leads right out to your spa. It's awesome.
That's what I hate about my house is because like I have to go walk all the way around to get to my master. Like,
Oh, there's no access to your backyard?
no.
Oh.
I could. I'm just cheap.
Yeah.
Dude, I love this.
Yeah.
This is tight. Anytime I can see like these new homes that have like outdoor stuff in the inside.
Yep.
Because I've seen like this river rock. I've seen like literal water underneath.
Maybe up in a sky or something.
Yeah, and I've seen too, like they'll have the staircase and then underneath the staircase is water or like.
Yeah, exactly. Or like a plant area,
Yeah.
equestrian or something. Yeah.
And then you gave it its own fireplace.
Yep, yep.
And then this is an amazing fixture. Where'd you get that?
I think I just got an overstock, you know? So I did this because like all the corners are square and sharp and like harsh edges. So I always like to put like a rounded tub and a rounded light fixture to kind of soften it. So it doesn't feel so masculine because this bathroom is pretty masculine.
Yeah, this is definitely like the most masculine part. But what I love what you did was you have this white tile all the way across, and then you have the black, well, the grayish, you know, to offset it.
Yep.
It goes really good.
Yep, the charcoal to
'Cause
contrast it.
if you were to just keep this wall, it'd be so plain.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. And then the shower, you got dual shower. Look at this handle. Where do you get this?
Amazon, baby.
So that's another thing is like you're talking about overstock, Amazon, like this. These are like really nice looking things that
Right.
don't cost a ton of money.
Right, you don't have to shop at what, Rustic Hardware or whatever
Right.
it is.
Or
The
restoration.
restoration, I always call it that.
Yeah, we bought our, what did we buy? It's like the coffee table.
Yeah.
And she goes, it's from Restoration Hardware, and I didn't know what it was. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, like what's it cost? And she's like, she wouldn't tell me. I'm like, this thing is
$1,400.
Yeah, no, I was like, this thing's heavy, because I used to flip furniture and use stuff. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is like a quality piece of furniture. And I looked it up. It was like $3,000 for the coffee table. I was like,
What?
no wonder she won't tell me.
That's funny.
Dude, this vanity is huge. I love this. Man. So if I only had one criticism, I guess, it's kind of these closets.
Okay.
Is it, like, I mean, I guess these are kind of smaller closets for what this neighborhood is.
Right, yeah, but they're the his and hers, but yeah, I'm with you too. It'd be better off if this was all able to be one space, but I couldn't really
There's
think
not
of any
much you can do.
without really just hurting the flow of the bedroom and the bathroom, so I just
Right.
left them as is.
Yeah.
And they already had all these built-ins in here, so I'm like, what am I gonna tear all these out to try to make it like,
Yeah, because I was going to say maybe you could
Exactly.
put a door here.
yeah, but
But-
I didn't want to tear all the already built in, so
Right. Yeah,
I
there's
left
not
those
much
there.
you could do about it.
But yeah, that would have been the solution is put two walk-in closets on each side. Then you have all the storage on that side as well. But again, the built-ins were already here, so.
And that just comes back to budget. I
Yep.
mean, maybe if it was your house, you would have did it.
Exactly.
But on a flip, you know, it's like,
It's a small preference
it's not going to
difference.
really change.
It's not a wow
the perception.
factor, yeah.
Right. I like that. So this is it 3-3?
It's a 3-4, three bedrooms, 4 baths.
Okay, 4 baths.
Yep.
And that just leaves us with the backyard.
Yeah.
So let's see. We'll go through the master.
All right.
Man, this is nice. So is this is originally here? I'm guessing?
Yep. Again, originally here. The barbecue was originally here, but we.
This thing is huge. Wow.
Yes.
Charcoal.
Charcoal.
I like
yep.
that.
Yep. I think it has gas to it as well. You could do both.
And then I love this look, man. So you added this.
Yep, we added all the concrete. Actually, these pavers carried all the way to the pool, and all the coping of the pool was this red brick flagstone pavers, and then there's like dated stacked stone in there. So we scraped all that off of there, and then did all the pool, retiled the whole thing.
So was this the shape of the pool that originally?
Yeah, this was the shape of the pool already. So at least we had the modern shape to work with. So I
Right.
just did modern finishes to it instead.
You matched just the white and gray theme all inside the house.
Exactly, yep. And then we miter so that there's There's no like tile where it exposes the edge or anything one way or the other. We did mitered 45-degree cuts.
Right.
Every corner edge you see, it took the guy 3 weeks to do the tile.
Right. It's crazy. And then over here, I mean, you've got this beautiful golf course view. What hole is this? No idea.
No clue. Probably should know that.
I love this course. I've golfed here many times.
Yeah, the good thing.
I'd probably hit this house.
The good thing about this one is that it doesn't get hit with balls. The way it sits elevated and it's off of the direction of the course.
You'd have to really
aim for it. Yeah, you'd have to, exactly. You'd really have to shank it. I haven't seen a golf ball back here in the whole time.
Wow. And then, so you guys did all this river rock.
Yep, all the grass.
Yeah. I like this. This is cool. How much do you think it was to like do all this backyard work?
Roughly, let's say 12, 15,000 or so.
Okay.
Because the pool retiling was normally pool retiling's cheap, but cutting all those corners and everything like that was expensive.
High-end finish.
Yeah, so it took the guy so long, and then we had to do stuff to the pool and whatnot, repairs, and then all the concrete. Yeah, it's probably like, I think it's like 13,000 with the grass, which isn't crazy to be honest.
For what this is, I mean, I would have thought it was way more.
Yeah, luckily, again, we had this fireplace was already here. Yeah. The barbecue, I just left alone. This fireplace was covered in the stack stone too, so we just re-stuccoed it. We tore it all off, re-stuccoed it, and painted it white. Just keep it simple.
And then I love the exterior that you did.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, okay, this stone was here.
Yep, stone was here.
You guys just kind of played with it, matched it.
Right, we tried to find a paint color that was neutral and but still felt modern, because you got those red tones to it, so you got to be careful that you don't go too, like a dark gray would look weird against the.
Really weird.
Yeah.
You really have to go like a white cream.
Yep, exactly.
So obviously you guys killed it.
Yeah.
Tell me about the deal.
Yeah.
How did you buy it? Like, where did you find it from? How much did you pay? How much was all this beautiful rehab to do?
Yeah.
You know, we know it's on the market for like 125-ish.
Yep.
So tell me about that.
So we bought it for $920 or $925 on the MLS. Got a commission back, so we're into
MLS deal.
MLS, yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, bought it for $920. So I'm into it for like $900 on my purchase price because I got the commission back.
Credit.
And then we put like, I think we're at like 120 into it. So what does that put us at? Like 1,020,000.
Okay.
The last model matches sold for 1.25, 1.298, and then ones across the street now are selling for 1.365.
Wow.
So we're listed at 1.259. The ones that got the 1.3 are 4 bedrooms, and that's been like the most difficult part, is that there's people that love it and absolutely want it, but they want the 4th bedroom. Wow. You know, which makes sense. At this price, you'd probably want the 4th bedroom.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, 120 into the rehab, and then holding costs on it are like $5,500 a month for interest and whatnot.
It ain't cheap.
Yeah, it ain't cheap, yeah. So
what do you think your break even is at this point? Plus staging costs and...
Probably like 1.15 or so, 1.13 in that range. I'd have to pull out my spreadsheet, but somewhere around there.
So if you sell it at list, you'll make like 140,000.
Yeah, roughly. Yep. Yeah. And we have an offer we're working on right now, and hopefully they don't watch this video. But we have an offer.
This is like probably a month away.
Okay. So we have an offer we're working right now, and he has no agent. They live in the community, they're renting, and they love the house. So I'm trying to get them to like 1.22. And I could wait it out, but I don't want to see what's going to happen at the end of the year. I'm like, honestly, I would rather do 10 little flips. These are stressful all the time. So
I say all the time, like I got my luxury one right now. I still have it. I'm like, why isn't this thing selling?
Yeah.
You know, I'm making these freaking $5,000 a month payments. It sucks.
Yeah. I just try not to think about. I do make sure I do everything I can to get it sold if it's sitting, whatever. Try to do marketing and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I'm like, whatever, dude. I mean, I'll just keep churning and burning the other ones in the meantime.
So how big is this house?
It's 3,085 square feet.
3,000. You spent one, so about $40 a foot.
Yep.
Which is, I mean, for everything you did, really good.
Yeah.
Especially talking pool, landscape. So I guess the only regret you have looking at it is like, okay, I should have maybe paid attention to the 3-bedroom versus the 4.
Yeah, but the reason why I didn't was because the model match that sold for 1.25, me and my previous partner flipped it in 2017, And it was a 3-bedroom model matched to this exactly. We sold it, we bought that for $512 at auction. This same model, $512, we sold it for like $985. It was like the best deal I've ever done in my career. And then she turned around 2 years later and sold it for 1.25. And then the model matches started falling after 1.3, so then I'm like, okay, at 900, you know, I'll be all right. Worst case scenario, I break even, whatever, which I don't see happening, but if it does, oh well.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it comes with the territory. And I was considering moving into this at one point too, so, but then I found my new house on a half acre and I'm like, I'd rather have that anyways.
Let's talk about some tips when it comes to managing contractors. First thing I would say is show up on site at least twice a week. The worst thing you can do is just say, hey, go fix up the house. You never show up. Then you come back a month later and you see that nothing has gotten done and you've paid this guy a bunch of money. By showing up at least twice a week, you are now going on site. You're able to see if things didn't progress from the last time you were there. And also the contractor is going to know that you are showing up and you're checking in on them. So it's gonna make them want to work harder and get things done quicker. Another tip that's really important for managing contractors is to stay ahead of them. So what that means is you never want to pay for more than what's been done at your project. If I've paid a contractor $20,000 and he only has done $5,000 worth of work, we got a big problem if they quit. So you definitely don't want to do that. And this is why I highly oppose ever doing a big upfront payment to a contractor. I see some people who are like, okay, just pay me 50% up front and then you pay me the rest when I finish. I would never do that. If we have a $50,000 job, there's no need for me to give you $25,000 when you haven't done anything yet. And in fact, most of the work that you do initially doesn't even require money, it's just labor. You really only start needing the big bucks when you start ordering materials like floorings, kitchens, counters, bathrooms, and those types of things. So you want to spread out your payments so you're constantly keeping up with them and not paying them too much. And I'll tell you this because I've personally been burned multiple times. I overpaid a contractor, they might have mismanaged the money, and now they can't finish the job, and so they quit. So make sure you're being very careful with how much you're paying somebody relative to what they've done. Another thing you need to do is when you hire them and you sign the contract, make sure there's a detailed scope of work. A scope of work should include everything line by line with what exactly it is you're buying. I've had it happen in the past where it was a very generic contract that said, hey, the contractor is gonna renovate the kitchen, the bathroom, the flooring, and it's gonna be a flip. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, great. It's gonna be a certain level of quality. These things are getting changed. Here we go. Well, as it turns out, when the project is done, there's all these things that were not up to my expectations. Maybe they used cheaper cabinets or countertops. Maybe they got a really cheap flooring, or even little things that you don't think about that you would normally change in a flip, like light fixtures or light switches are not changed now because the contractor is trying to save money anywhere they can. And because the contract is so vague, they're not in the wrong. The way to avoid this is by just getting everything on a scope of work. In fact, I've created a scope of work that my company uses that we give to contractors. We'll walk the property ourselves, we'll fill it out as we go through it, and we'll say, hey, here's everything we want done. Here's what we think it should cost, but you can go bid it out for yourself and tell me what you think. And with this scope of work, we also have a contractor's guide we created, which tells them exactly what materials we want, what kind of finishes, what colors, everything, so all of our flips look the exact same. And for us, this makes it very simple on what was agreed upon for what they need to do. And on a side note, I actually give all my coaching students everything I've created for my own business, like this scope of work, like this contractor's guide, and many other things in my coaching program. Hey, one of the biggest questions I get from people when it comes to construction is, should I hire a general contractor or should I sub everything out? This is really gonna be up to you and what your preferences are. Obviously, if you get a GC, you're gonna pay a lot more because they are getting paid to carry the liability, they're getting paid to manage all the subs, and it is less work on your plate. On the other hand, if you've got the time and you sub everything out yourself, you're gonna save a lot of money. For my company, it's impossible to sub everything out because we just have too many projects going on. But when I was just getting started, I did go that route so that I could try and get my costs down to be as low as possible. We are gonna be talking about the top 5 mistakes that new real estate investors make. To give you some background, if you're new to my channel, I've flipped hundreds of homes all over Las Vegas and across the country. We also have over 1,000 students students at Future Flipper, which is my education program. And so this list of mistakes that I'm gonna give you is something that I have seen over the years, not only in my own business, but coaching so many people since then. So my hope is that if you're a new investor and you have not done a deal, or maybe you've only done a couple of deals, this ends up saving you thousands of dollars because you don't make these mistakes. So with that being said, let's jump into the top 5. But before we do that, let's address the elephant in the room. My nails are really blue. Look at them. It's like super weird that my hands and nails are blue. Oh yeah, that's probably because I dyed my hair blue. A lot of people are asking me if I'm having a midlife crisis and why I would do such a thing when my hair is kind of my signature thing. And there's really a couple of reasons for it. Number 1, I was just really bored and I felt like doing it. Number 2, I've been thinking about joining a K-pop band. I heard that BTS is looking for new members. And number 3, probably most important, I'm actually gonna just try out some new ads with it and see how they perform. You guys know I'm all about marketing and generating leads, so I think that the blue hair on some ads is definitely gonna get some eyeballs. And that actually relates to mistake number 1 that I always see new investors make, and that is not making enough offers. Now you might be saying, what does blue hair have to do with not making enough offers? Well, it's pretty simple. As I just said, I'm gonna use my blue hair in ads. Well, the whole point of running ads is to generate leads for my business. And so the more leads that I create, the more offers I can make to those leads. And having more leads allows us to make more offers. And so one thing I always teach my students is that you've got to make a ton of offers every single day in order to be successful. But in order to make those offers, you've got to first generate the leads. Now, obviously with real estate investing and trying to buy houses, blue hair's probably not gonna generate the leads that you're looking for. You're trying to generate leads for off-market properties, or potentially MLS properties, or potentially wholesalers and realtors. This is how you're gonna create all the opportunities, and then you just have to go and make offers on those opportunities. But the reality is, most people don't generate enough leads or make enough offers. Even if we get somebody who's able to generate a lot of leads, they don't make nearly enough offers on those leads to capitalize on them the right way. If somebody's talking to you, you might as well make an offer. You have nothing to lose by doing it other than potentially being embarrassed by making a low offer. If you can tell by me, I've got blue hair. Obviously, I'm not embarrassed by it. I'm walking around like this because I don't care. I actually put a poll out on Instagram asking people what they thought of my hair, and 72% of them hated it. But it doesn't matter. I'm gonna shoot my shot. And that's exactly what you need to do as a real estate investor. Make a ton of offers, and who cares what other people think? And if you're worried about generating leads, you can do something as simple as making offers on all the properties on the market. Let's just say your market has 1,000 listings. I can promise you, if you made an offer on every single listing at a low price, one of them will take it. And the reason I know that is because we still get deals on the MLS by using that approach. And I think it was Wayne Gretzky that said, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So go take your shot. Now, mistake number 2 is one that I see gets investors into the most trouble, and that is speculating. Now, usually where I see speculating is done with the ARV. If you don't know what ARV is, it stands for after repair value. And essentially, all that is what we think we're gonna sell the property for once it's fixed up and on the market. Now, anytime we go to flip a house, we have to calculate that ARV and make sure we're pretty confident we're gonna sell it for that. If I think that I'm gonna sell a house for $400,000 and I sell it for only $350,000, I'm probably gonna lose a lot of money. So I always teach new investors to be conservative with their ARVs. Now, a big problem right now in today's market is that it's easy to get very optimistic on ARVs. A lot of houses that I thought I was gonna sell for, say, $400,000 are now selling for $450,000. And it's easy to get into bad habits and say, okay, you know, this property is only worth $400,000 today, but I bet you by the time I go to sell it, I'm gonna get $430,000 or $450,000. You cannot speculate like that. The deal has to make sense for you at $400,000. And if it does get more than that, that's great. You've hit a home run. It's gonna be an awesome flip, but you cannot bank on it selling for $430,000 or $450,000 in order for you to make the minimum profit. That's gonna get you into trouble, and you're gonna lose a lot of money using that approach. And the reason I know this is because I have speculated on properties many times in my career. Some have worked out for me and I made money, but I've also lost hundreds of thousands of dollars by doing it. So don't speculate, just work harder on finding good deals that you know for sure are gonna make money. And if it does get the appreciation and it does better than you think, That's great, but we never want to bank on that. Now let's talk about mistake number 3. Now before we get into number 3, I want to actually help you guys prevent a mistake on an even bigger level. To do that, I'm going to be giving away one of my courses completely for free. You can get my house flipping and wholesaling course, which is over 80 videos and 10 plus hours of content. If you're more into rental properties, you can get my Rental Property Academy, where we go over everything to do with rental properties, on how to find deals, how to evaluate them, and even how I run my Airbnb business. Or if you want to build your personal brand and create content, you can get my Social Media Academy, where I teach you everything that I do as a social media creator. So to qualify to win one of those courses for free, all you got to do is make sure you're subscribed to this channel and comment below what's been your biggest mistake as an investor. I think it's good for people to be transparent about their mistakes because it helps people realize that they're not the only ones who make dumb mistakes. I still make them, and I've done hundreds of deals. So anyways, make sure you do that. Now let's talk about number 3. And that is the renovation process. Most new investors screw up the entire portion of what it takes to renovate a house. The very first thing would be estimating your rehab costs. Now, if you've watched some of my other videos, I actually talk about how we estimate costs. We use something called the price per square foot method. To give you a quick example, in Las Vegas, we know that we can spend about $25 a square foot to do a full renovation. So if the house is 2,000 square feet, we're pretty certain that we're gonna spend around $50,000 to renovate it. But here's the deal. That's just Las Vegas and the pricing that we have with our contractors. Your price per square foot's gonna be different in California or New York or the Midwest. Also, this doesn't take into account a rehab on a house that's down to the studs and needs new electrical and all these things. This would be doing a full rehab, not changing any of the bones of the house, but just making it look really good and fresh. And I'll link to the video down below where I go into depth on how we calculate renovation costs. We also talk about it in the courses I mentioned and in my book, Flip Your Future. But here's the thing you gotta know about using that method. It is simply just an estimate. It's a way for you to evaluate a lot of deals all at once from, say, your computer. If you are close on a deal and you're potentially going to buy it or you're under contract, you're gonna wanna go get a full bid from a contractor. You're gonna wanna walk it with them, make sure you get an inspection, and make sure your numbers are for sure. Because what you see in pictures and what you might estimate using that method might not be actually what happens when you're in person. And we've seen that happen a lot. We'll make our offers based on what we think it's gonna cost, but then we will adjust it during our due diligence period when we figure out that, hey, this thing is in worse shape than we thought, or maybe we found some other problems that we couldn't see in the pictures. So the renovation process starts from the very beginning before you ever buy the home. So most new investors screw up that part, but then they also screw up the second part of that, which is the project management side. So let's say you bought the property and you got the bid from your contractor and everything checks out numbers-wise. But you can still get into trouble if you don't manage the project good enough. Maybe your contractor is slacking and he's way behind schedule. Maybe he's doing a lot of unnecessary change orders and pushing the budget even higher. Maybe you gave them too much money up front and now they left the job and you gotta pick up the pieces. I've seen all of those scenarios happen with bad project management. So the key is, if you are going to flip a house and you are gonna manage the project, make sure you're there on site all the time checking it out. Also, make sure you're not paying the contractor too much up front. And lastly, like I mentioned at the beginning, make sure you're getting a bid before you ever buy it. All of those things will prevent you from making mistakes during the renovation process. So let's jump into number 4, which is most new investors make the mistake of paralysis by analysis. And I would say this is probably the biggest mistake I see people make, and technically it doesn't cost you anything, at least financially, but what it does cost you is time and opportunity cost. All that time that you spend analyzing, trying to learn every little detail and not taking action is money that you could have made today and aren't. And I'll tell you, for me, the most valuable resource we have in this world is time. It's not money, it's not anything else. How much time we have is limited, and you gotta make the most of it. So if you're one of these new investors who's been watching my YouTube channel for, say, a year now, and you haven't taken action, you haven't done a deal, yet you talk about it, you need to either quit watching my channel, or join my coaching program, or start doing some deals some type of way. There can be no in between where you continue to just watch and be entertained.
So do not fall victim to doing this paralysis by analysis. And it's really weird because I come across people all the time who have a lot of knowledge about real estate investing, and their knowledge far exceeds what they've actually done. I would much rather have the person who doesn't know that much, but is taking action and making things happen. Because here's the truth about real estate investing. You're gonna learn far more actually doing it and making mistakes on a project than you will learning about mistakes even from this video. And I can tell you firsthand, I've made mistakes that have cost me millions of dollars, but guess what? I was able to learn from those mistakes, turn them into a positive, and then make millions of dollars. But I would have never been able to do what I did unless I actually made those mistakes and took action. So do not fear failure. Don't feel like you gotta learn everything before you actually buy a house or take action. You're gonna fail and you don't know everything. You'll never be ready. But that's the beauty of this business and any business. Even with me today, as I start new businesses, I jump into new things that I'm unsure about. I don't have all the answers when I jump into it, but I know that by being in it, I'm gonna end up making a mistake, I'm gonna learn from it, and then I'll have the answer. And that's just all part of the process of becoming a new investor. So get out of that stage and start taking action. So that brings me to mistake number 5, and that is not pricing the flip correctly. Now this is very common because as you go through the process of finding a deal and renovating it, you're getting really excited about it and you think it is the best flip ever. And you think that your house is better than all the other houses that have sold to this point, and so you decide to list it for more than anything else that's ever been sold. This is a mistake. Now granted, in today's market, you might be able to get away with it because there's nothing for sale, but in a normal market, overpricing a property can kill you. And the reason is people aren't gonna either see it because it's out of their search criteria, or they're gonna think it's not gonna appraise, and so making an offer on it's not even worth their time. Or they just flat out think it's overpriced because they saw a very similar one sell for less. So you don't wanna make the mistake of overpricing your properties in normal markets. Now, as I said, the caveat is we are not in a normal market right now, so overpricing could actually work, but in most situations, that's not something you wanna do. But the same thing can happen with underpricing a home. Let's just say that you should have priced it at $300,000, but you only did $290,000. And then all of a sudden you get an offer on the first day for $290,000 that you take. Well, you just left $10,000 on the table because somebody was probably gonna pay you $300,000 if you priced it at that, or if you waited longer. A lot of new investors want to take the very first offer that's presented to them because they're really excited. You shouldn't do that. You should wait to get the amount that you want if you're priced right. And so for us, we always price our properties at what we want to sell them for, and we will wait until we get that offer. And typically what can happen is we'll end up getting multiple offers because we wait, and then people start doing a bidding war, and then we get more than we asked for. So the keys with this are price it right from the beginning, and also be patient before taking an offer. Doing that alone could make you tens of thousands of dollars.
I personally have done hundreds of house flips. The majority of them are here in Las Vegas. And for the past 3 years straight, we've done over 100 deals each of those years. Now, even though doing a lot of deals is fun and profitable, I actually enjoy teaching how to do real estate investing more so. And if you're somebody that wants to learn more about real estate investing, you can go to futureflipper.com. That's my shirt right here, which is my real estate education company, and we can help you out. But my goal for this video is to show you every single step you need to flip a house. We're gonna go over how to choose a market, how to pick a team, how to evaluate deals, and how to sell that first flip and make a profit. So without further ado, let's just jump into it and go into step 1, which is before anything else, you've gotta pick a market that you're gonna flip in. Now, when I'm looking at picking a market, I like to look at 4 different factors. Factor number 1 is the population. Now, personally, I like markets that have over 500,000 people. And the reason is you just have more opportunity. When there's a bigger population, there are more houses to accommodate that population. And so I want to give myself the most opportunities to find deals. Now look, I understand that not everyone lives in a major market with over 500,000 people, but I would not flip in a market that has anything less than 100,000. 100,000 would definitely be my cutoff because once you get to that small town territory, things change dramatically. There's just not a lot of houses in those areas, so you can't get as many deals. The labor force isn't gonna be as big or strong, and you might have people that are migrating away from these small towns into bigger areas. So try and choose a market with bigger population size. Second thing I like to look at is price point. How expensive are these houses? If you're just starting out, do you want to try and go flip in San Francisco? Probably not. If you're just starting out, you're probably better flipping in an area that's got a more median priced home, maybe like a Vegas, maybe like Phoenix or Dallas. And you're seeing a lot of investors go to those markets because they're reasonably priced, the homes are a little bit newer, people are moving there, so there's a lot going on. So always think about your price point when you're choosing a market. Third thing you're gonna look at is inventory levels. Now, the way that you calculate inventory levels is by taking the amount of homes that have sold in the last 30 days and dividing it by the amount of homes that are active on the market currently. So for example, let's say that 2,000 homes sold in the last 30 days, but 2,000 homes are available right now on the market. That means if no new houses came on the market, everything would sell within the next month. As you can imagine, that is extremely low. And so if you're flipping houses, you wanna be in markets like that. When there's low inventory, you can get more for your flips because people don't have as many options. Personally, I like to be in a market that has 3 months or less of inventory. That means that it's a seller's market when they go to sell a home. Once you start getting in that 4 to 6 months of inventory range, it becomes more of a neutral market. It's not really a buyer's or a seller's market. Things are selling for what they should. And then once you get above 6 months of inventory, it means it's an extreme buyer's market, and that's probably not where you wanna flip. Buyers have all the options, they have all the power, they can kind of do whatever they want. So definitely watch inventory levels when you are picking a market. Now, at the time of this filming, inventory is at all-time lows nationwide. There are a lot of markets that have 1 month of inventory. Right now in my market of Vegas, we are like that, and because of that, we're getting way more for our flips than we thought. Houses we thought we were gonna sell for $300,000, we're getting $330 for them. And that's because buyers don't really have a choice. We can ask for more and they're willing to pay it because it's the only house they can buy. So being in a low inventory market is great. It's not really a problem right now with where the economy is at. But that's enough about inventory. Let's talk about the fourth thing you need to know when choosing a market, and that's proximity. So the reason that I flip in Vegas is because I live in Vegas. It makes it a lot easier to flip where you live. But the only reason I'm able to do that is because Vegas checked the box for everything else I just listed. It's got good population, it's got good price point, it's got low inventory, and I happen to live here, so all the things align for me flipping here. Now, what do you do if you live in a small town or a town that has a buyer's market? Well, you wanna kind of think about where is the next town over that allows you to hit all those things I mentioned. Maybe it's an hour away. I don't think an hour away is a big deal if you wanna flip there. But maybe the next biggest town that fits all those criteria is 3 hours away. That makes it a little bit tougher, but not impossible. In fact, we flip in other markets as well. So for me, proximity is an important thing you need to think about when you're flipping because things get harder when you're not there. If we're gonna go flip in another market like Tucson, where we do invest, we wanna make sure we're getting better deals. Because when it comes to remote flipping, there are more risks, things are harder, so you need to get a bigger return on your investment. Now, all that being said, that's just the first step of flipping a house with picking a market. You wanna look at all of those factors before you choose where you're gonna flip. Doing the rest of these steps doesn't matter until you have that in place. Now let's talk about step 2. That is to build out your team. Now there are 4 main players that you need to build out for your team. There's the real estate agent, there's the lender, there's the title company, and there's your contractor. Now when it comes to real estate agents, they're a very important part of the process. They're the ones who are going to be helping you list your home. They're the ones helping you evaluate deals. They're gonna potentially be making you offers to buy homes on the MLS. So a realtor is something that you need to have. Now, when it comes to finding a realtor, you wanna find somebody who's willing to hustle. In order to get flips, you gotta make a lot of offers, and most realtors just aren't willing to do it. On top of that, when you go to list your flips, you're typically gonna ask them for a reduced commission. And you may not ask that starting out since you're just getting started, but over time you will because you're gonna be bringing volume to them. And so my advice is, don't pick a realtor because they're the top realtor in your city. They likely don't have enough time for you. Also, you probably don't wanna pick your friend who's a realtor because you might ruin your friendship with your unreasonable ask that you're gonna have later on. And let me tell you, it is unreasonable what we ask realtors to do because we want them to make a ton of offers for not a lot of pay. We make a lot of money because the profit is good when one of those offers get accepted, but typically their commission isn't worth the time it takes to make all those offers on our behalf. Maybe they're doing like a deal a month right now. That is the perfect person. They're active, but they're not so busy that they can't help you. And if you can sell them on the vision that you're gonna be this full-time flipper and eventually your amount of deals could double their volume, they'll take you seriously. So finding a good realtor is really important. You can go look up their stats on Zillow. You can go ask people on Facebook for referrals, and then just do your process of vetting them. Second person you're gonna need is a good lender. Now, the lender that you need is not a traditional 30-year loan conventional lender. You need what's called a hard money lender. I've done other videos on hard money lenders. I'll link to some of them below. But essentially, they are people that will lend to you regardless of your income, your credit, any of that stuff. All they care about is, are you getting a good deal with a lot of equity? The other type of lender you need to start looking for is a private lender. A private lender is gonna be a friend or a family member, and they're somebody that could potentially fund your whole deal or partner up with you to fund the down payment for the hard money loan. I call it hybrid funding when you're combining two different types of lenders. And this is how you can get into a flip with no money down. You get a hard money lender to cover the majority of it, then you get a private lender to cover the rest of it. So you can't flip without a good lender. The third person on your team you need to think about is the title company. So the title company is going to be the one that does all of the paperwork for the transaction. Your realtor probably has a good recommendation, but what I would advise is getting a title company who's investor friendly. They should have worked with other investors before, and they should be aware of what wholesaling is. We're gonna talk about wholesaling later on in this video, but just understand if they've never heard of it, then they're probably not the title company for you. You could find title company references by going into real estate investment Facebook groups and just asking around. The fourth member of your team you need to add is your contractor. So we're all familiar with what contractors are. We need them to fix and flip. So you wanna get a contractor who's worked with other investors just like the title company. There are essentially two types of contractors. You've got the retail one who only wants to work with essentially regular people and they can charge them more. And then you've got contractors who work with investors. They realize that they're trying to get a great deal and that they could potentially be multiple deals for that contractor. So they're usually willing to give a much cheaper discount to the investor in the hopes of future business. So find a contractor who's willing to work with investors. Once again, Facebook groups are great for finding them, referrals, you can look on Google. There's a lot of ways to find contractors. So those are the four members of your team you need to build before you can start doing this next step, which is number 3, learning to evaluate deals. Essentially, TV will just tell you, oh, we sold it for this price, we bought it for this price, you know, we put this much into it in renovation expenses, and we paid our realtor this. That means the rest is all profit. If you've been following me, you know obviously that's not true. There are a whole bunch of other factors that go into profit. The real formula for profit is your sales price minus your purchase price, minus your renovation cost, minus your realtor fees, minus your holding cost, minus your money cost, minus your closing cost, minus other fees. Then you create your profit from that formula. But as I said before, if you're serious about getting into real estate investing, go to futureflipper.com, just hit the apply button, and we'll get you started even if you're brand new and know nothing. But you gotta learn to evaluate deals. That is going to be the biggest key to succeeding in this business is proper deal evaluation. Now, once you've got that down, it's gonna lead you to step 4, which is finding a deal. Now, there are really 3 ways to find deals. Number 1, on the MLS. Number 2, from wholesalers, which we kind of mentioned before. And number 3, direct to seller marketing. Now with the MLS, there are a whole bunch of ways to get deals. One of my favorite ways is auto searches. You basically just set up searches with your realtor and you get notified every single time a property hits the market that fits your search. I know it's a mouthful, but essentially you're just setting up these traps. Your searches are going to be things that could potentially be good deals, potentially undervalued properties. And the goal is when an auto search comes in your email and it looks like a good deal, you then make an offer on the listing. That's how I've gotten the majority of my MLS deals over the years. And for the people who tell you that MLS is dead, do not listen to them. We have made millions of dollars from MLS deals. And so there's a lot of deals in the MLS if you're willing to put in the work. The second way that we get deals is through wholesalers. Now, essentially, wholesalers are just deal finders. What they'll do is they'll go get a property under contract for say $100,000, and then they will in turn sell it to you, the investor, for whatever they can make above that. Maybe they're able to sell it to you for $120,000. So their profit will be whatever they have it under contract for with the seller to what they can sell it to the flipper for. In this case, it'd be $20,000. And that $20,000 is called an assignment fee or a wholesale fee. And here's the deal with wholesalers. They don't actually have to buy the property. They're able to just sell you the contract for that fee. And so what happens is the flipper brings the money to the table, the $120,000. They bring it to the title company, they do their thing. They now give the seller $100,000, they give the wholesaler $20,000, and the buyer gets the property for the $120,000 they paid. Everyone wins. The buyer is happy because they're willing to pay $120,000 for it. The seller gets the $100,000 they originally wanted, and the wholesaler makes $20,000 for finding a deal. Now you might be sitting here thinking, well, wait, I would rather be the wholesaler. They didn't have to buy it, fix it up, do any of that stuff. And you're right, being a wholesaler is great. We wholesale as well. And a lot of these steps I'm talking about, you don't even need to do when you're wholesaling. And so if you wanna be a wholesaler, we also teach that at Future Flipper as well. So as I said before, just go apply, we'll hook you up. And that leads me to my third way to get deals, which is direct to seller. So instead of the wholesaler getting a deal, or instead of having to go through a middleman realtor to get a deal in the MLS, you make a deal directly with the seller. Now, finding these sellers is not easy. It takes a lot of work. It takes marketing. It takes a whole bunch of other stuff. But these are where the juiciest deals are because, as I said before, there's no middleman and you're free to negotiate directly. And we use a number of different marketing techniques to get a hold of sellers. We cold call, we text message, we do what's called PPC, that's pay per click on Google. We do direct mail, we do TV commercials. The list goes on and on. Now, you don't have to do all those things. I know many successful flippers that just cold call or just text, and they do it really well and get tons of deals. Our best deals ever have come from direct to seller marketing. So no matter which way you choose to go, you can definitely start flipping houses by just picking one of those ways. In fact, when I got started, I just was only using the MLS to get deals. Then I started using wholesalers to get deals. And eventually we started doing our own direct to seller marketing. So don't feel overwhelmed like you gotta do them all, you don't. You can be very good at just one of those things and get your first deal. Now, once you find a deal, the next step is to actually buy the home. Now, remember the title company and the lender that I talked about in step 2 when you were building your team? Well, you're gonna need them now to buy the home. The title company is going to do the work to make sure that you're getting the property and there's no secret liens or anything else that you don't know about. They're gonna give you what's called title insurance to guarantee you're getting the property that you think you're getting. And your lender is now going to fund the deal for you so that you can buy it. And this is one of the funnest steps because the old saying goes that you don't make money when you sell the home, you make money when you buy it. If you buy a good deal, you're gonna make money later on. You can't buy a really bad deal and try to make money by selling it. So your money always comes during this step on the buy. And that ends up leading to step 6, which is renovating the home. Once you buy it, you need to grab that other person on your team, the contractor, and get this home fixed up. Now, deciding how to fix up a home, what it should cost, what colors to use, all those things take skill. I've gone over some of the things we use in other videos. I've also gone over how to estimate repair cost, so we'll link to those down below. You can check them out. But as I keep saying, flipping is one of those things that you're gonna probably want a mentor with, you're gonna want help with, and we literally give you all of the systems and processes we use in my business so that you can use them and know exactly what things should be. And in my programs, we give you all of the systems and processes that we use in my business so that you can use them on your first deal and when you scale. Now, once that's all said and done and you renovate the property, it's now time for step 7, which is listing the property. This is where the last member of your team, the realtor, is gonna come into play. They are going to be the one that lists the property for you. Now, make sure that when your realtor lists it, they are going to be listing it for a price that is reflective of where the market is. If there's very low inventory, you might be able to get more than you thought. If there's a lot of inventory, you might have to list it for lower than you thought. You also wanna make sure they have professional pics from a photographer. You never wanna use the pics from your iPhone. That is a recipe for disaster. I know this because I used to do it when I first started out and it was really dumb. You also wanna make sure they write a nice description and that overall the listing looks great. Once they list the home, it leads you to step 8, which is selling the home. Eventually you get an offer, you go through their process of buying it, and then you sell the home and make a profit on your very first deal. This is where you finally get paid for all of the hard work it took you to get to this point. But I can tell you, the hard work is worth it. There's a reason I still flip today because it is one of the most lucrative businesses that is out there. It's a business that doesn't require a college degree. You don't have to have your own money. You don't have to have great credit. All you need to do is take action and believe in yourself. Seriously, that is the biggest thing I see why people don't ever succeed in this business, is because they have paralysis by analysis. They just keep analyzing and analyzing and they don't do anything. And all of that analyzing just brings more fear and more inaction, and it's not good. Biggest thing I would say if you're watching this video and you've made it to this point is that you need to just take action. You're gonna make mistakes. That happens with anybody. I still make mistakes to this day. But if you have the fundamentals and you have the right support system and you have the people around you training you who've actually done it, there's no reason you can't succeed. And as I mentioned before, at Future Flipper, we can definitely help you do that. But regardless of if you work with us or not, I really do hope that this video gave you a lot of value.
So we just bought this house 2 weeks after getting under contract. It was a deal that we got from cold calling the seller. All right, so this is my first time seeing this. Give you a little background on it. I didn't negotiate this deal, my team did. And from what I'm told, the original owner owned this the whole time. So we are the second owner. This house is like at least 50, 60 years old. I honestly think this is the original carpet, just looking at it. It's pretty bad. This mirror right here is a very normal thing back in the day. I don't know if they built the homes like this, but I see it in these old homes all the time. Yeah, you can tell, definitely an older person lived here. I don't know what's going on here. This is interesting. And you got some nice china over here. Actually, dude, these dolls are kind of creepy, dude. What do you guys think? I'm kind of creeped out. I don't want to be touching those anymore. Anyways, let's look at the house. So, what do we got here? Okay, we got a kitchen. Definitely gonna open it up. Yeah. I would guess, just looking at it, it's actually not bad, because if you just open this wall up, you'll be open to the living room. You get rid of this. This is a normal thing of old houses. They always wanted more cabinets, but now we don't want that. We want everything open. Now that I'm here thinking about it, what we actually might do is bring this kitchen all the way through like this, get a nice L shape, put the fridge here, take this stove. I'm not a big fan of the stove like right there on the island, and put the stove right here, keep everything else the way it is, give them a little bit of a bigger pantry, and then I'd probably chop this island a little shorter, maybe start it like right here and go all the way through, because if we put the fridge here, it's gonna be really tight. So you gotta kind of gain some space back. And I think with this layout, you'll get a nice L shape with an island. You open it up, kitchen will be really good. Let's check out the rest of the house. You have got bathroom number 1 right here, pretty normal. You got guest bedroom over here. Man, dude, how many carpets are in this house? You got a brown carpet right here. You got this carpet here. You got blue carpet there. Oh my gosh, look at this. Then you have another blue carpet. Okay, so I take back what I said originally. I don't know what the original carpet is, because obviously there's been a bunch. Maybe, if I had to guess, this could possibly be original carpet. This one probably is only 50 years old. This one's 60. You have another room over here. So this is actually a 4-bedroom house. This is nice. See, back then they were even doing accent walls. Accent walls are cool again, but they, did them in an ugly way. Okay, so you got your 3 guest bedrooms, and now you're in the master right here. All right, let's check out this bathroom. Pretty standard. There's not much we can do to change it. Kind of is what it is. What we'll actually do is bring this vanity right here and do a double vanity. You've got room to do a double vanity and still have room for the toilet. I think that'll help it out a lot. All right, let's see the backyard. It's actually a pretty decent sized backyard. I'm surprised. Got some nice covered, got a nice dog over there, nice covered patio. You definitely are gonna have to We're definitely gonna have to stucco the whole house. You could tell right here, this is really beat up. You could see it up here too. You've got wood up there. We need to just stucco the whole thing. Over here, stucco's all coming off. And then even over here, you got the wood. You got the wood again. I don't remember the front of the house stucco being so bad. We may only have to stucco certain portions of it, but definitely gonna have to repair this a lot. The roof looks really good. That's recently replaced. The AC looks recently replaced, so that's good. Yeah, this is gonna be a nice house, especially once you open this wall up. 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, decent sized yard. You got the 2-car garage right here. Everything will be open concept. This house is gonna get a lot of money. Should sell quick too. 4 bedrooms are good. Yeah, we just got back out to the front. Definitely gonna have to re-stucco this whole thing. I'm pretty sure, unless I'm colorblind, the back half roof shingles were brown and looked newer than these. I'm almost certain. What the heck is this? I'm also trying to, I want to also know what this is. How do I even get up here? I would get it if there was like a ladder so I could climb up it and it's like an observatory, but there's nothing. I don't know, man. I'm gonna check this roof, make sure I'm not crazy. Nope, I'm crazy. It's the same roof. I don't see the point of this still. Crazy. All right. So on the last one of these videos we made, many people were asking us how we got the deal and all that stuff. So this was actually a cold call lead. Cold calling is one of our best lead sources. We've been doing it for years. As far as the numbers go, we bought it for $160. Plan on putting about $40,000 into it. And as of right now, it looks like it could sell for about $270. So if we hit those numbers, we'll probably make $45,000, $50,000 on this house. So we're gonna head out here, gonna let the contractors do what they do, let my project manager manage it, and then show you guys the afters right now. And we're back. Let's check it out. So the house looks amazing. This is my first time since we originally filmed. This is a little thing we like to do with the American flag. A lot of people, I mean, it doesn't really add value to it, but I think it's cool. Whew, this is nice. I love the flooring, looks good. Got rid of all that popcorn ceiling. They did a great job texturing. When you're looking at the quality of a flip, many things that stand out to me are the texturing, especially when you've done the ceiling. You wanna make sure that it matches. But now, the biggest change is the openness. If you guys remember, this was a big wall right here. And now, it's all just open. You have this massive island that I really love. You've got everything right here. This was already here. And we added these extra cabinets, so now we have more cabinet space. Plus, this is where the fridge will be. It definitely turned out better than I expected. Let me tell you, because I wasn't sure how this was gonna fit with the island right here and all that, but you've got plenty of space. Then you can just put your dining table right here. Everything just flows really good. Once again, we kept the original fireplace, but it looks so much better when you do just this white paint over it. A lot of people might try and put a veneer type stone or a tile or something like that, and you can, those look good, but I actually like the rustic look. And just a little white paint or even black paint or gray paint looks really good on brick like this. But yeah, a family's definitely gonna love this. I would probably put a couch, nice little L-shaped couch right here. You guys know I'm the couch flipper, Flip Nation stand up. And I gotta just, visualize how the living room will be, but I think it'll be really good.
Let's check out this bathroom. Signature bathroom for us. They all look the same if you've seen any of our flip videos. Looks good, happy with the quality. Let's check out the bedroom. So this is the master. Small master, but this is a small house. This is kind of what's expected. Carpet looks good, big baseboards, texturing, all that looks good in here. Here's the bathroom. So we changed this a little bit. If you guys remember, I can't really remember that well if there was a sink right here or if it was right here, but it was only one sink, that I remember. And now we've got a nice double vanity, which you definitely want for the master if possible. And we got the matching shower. We kept these closets. You know, the master bathroom's a lot better now. And then we've got the other 3 bedrooms. As you guys know, every time I go in these flips and I walk into a bedroom, I say, yep, it's a bedroom. There's not much to talk about. So let's see how the backyard turned out real quick. So as you can see, we don't have locks yet, so we're gonna add those here. And I can't even get out of here because I don't have the key. Here we go. Isn't that weird that like I'm in prison, I'm caged into my own house? I don't think any of these work. Okay, here we go. Dope. Exterior looks good. You know, like I said, with a lot of these houses, the backyards, you don't have to make them super nice. You're gonna let whoever's buying this house decide what they wanna do. You can't just assume somebody else wants grass. They may not. And a big thing is always looking at the comps. And so if none of the comps have their backyard done, you shouldn't either. I don't remember, but I think there was a tree here. I'm pretty sure they cut this down. And I would guess they did, because look at that one. That one also looks like they cut down some branches, and it just seems way more cleaned up than it was before. Another big thing that we did was re-stucco the entire house. Now, I remember it was chipping away, all that stuff. It looks like a brand new home. When you go into this house from the front, it doesn't look like these old houses around it. Like if you could see, you know, like this house behind us has brick, which is not a good look. This house over here has an older style of stucco, but this stucco is definitely, you know, a newer style of stucco, and it looks really good. It was for sure worth the money to re-stucco it. All right, so let's talk numbers. We bought this house for $160,000. We had estimated it was gonna be a $40,000 renovation, and we were almost right on budget. We're at $41,000 right now. It'll probably go over that. Inspections always add a little bit of stuff to it, but I'm very happy when we're within 10% of budget. This project ended up taking about 45 days. And a good quick tip for you guys is it should take 1 day per $1,000. And so we were right on schedule and right on budget. I'm very happy about that. So between purchase price and rehab, we're all in for about $201,000. When we originally bought it, we had anticipated a $270,000 ARV, give or take, but the market is so hot right now that we're gonna just list it for way above that. We're gonna list it for $320,000. There are comps that have already sold for $300,000 since then. That's how hot this market is, and I think it could get even more. And this is a strategy we've done all year as there's been no inventory. We're consistently beating our projected ARVs because people are paying for it. And a lot of that has to do with low supply, low interest rates, and a lot of demand for people wanting to move. So I know in previous videos, I kind of estimated our profit on what I think we would make, but many of you wanted more details of the cost. I'll give you guys some rough estimates of what the other cost will be. We'll end up paying around $11,000 in realtor fees. We'll offer 2.5% to 3% to the buyer's agent, and we have a flat fee listing with our listing agent. We'll end up paying around 2 to 2.5% in closing costs because we had to pay the cost when we bought it and we're paying it when we sell. So that'll probably be around $8,000. As far as money costs go, if we sell this property in the 4 months time frame that we're thinking, we'll end up paying about $10,000 in lender fees. Now remember, on all my flips, I get my lenders to fund 100% of the deal. So this whole thing that we're talking about has no money out of my pocket. On top of that, you're gonna have some holding costs with insurance, utilities, taxes, those type of things.
I would guess that's gonna be around $4,000. So if you add everything together, we've got $4,000 in holding costs, $10,000 in money cost, $8,000 in closing cost, and around $12,000 in realtor fees. So that's $34,000 in cost, plus we're into it for $201,000 between the purchase and the rehab. So our break-even point is $235,000. So if we sell this thing for $320,000, we're looking at an $85,000 profit. Now remember, originally we thought we were gonna sell this for $270,000. That would be a $35,000 profit, which we would have been very happy about. So obviously, if we get $320,000, it is going to be a home run. But even if we don't, we sell it for say $300,000, we're gonna make a lot of money, and this is gonna be a great deal.
You know, being a franchise is extremely arduous because there's a lot of checks and balances. The government gets involved in your business, right? They want to make sure, are you legit? Are these numbers real? You then have to get audited financials, right?
Can't lie about
Can't lie about nothing, right? Look, if you're running a company right now where you're offsetting extra expenses, and when I say extra, I'm doing the air quotes, extra expenses, don't do that.